Welcome back. Hey, guys. Here we are again. Back in Idaho. One more day to the first hearing of two. Figured we could have a little pre-hearing conversation. I have a couple questions about some things. I figured many others may. Why not do it? Let's have a conversation, everybody. And you know the drill. So here we go. All right. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for joining me this Tuesday afternoon. Great to be back with you guys. Great to be here. It's sunny out. Really sunny out. Yes. Come on down. Yes, the first hearing of two is tomorrow. The second one is the next day after. The hearing will be tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time, which will be 11 a.m. our time. I already have it set and ready to go. I will be here 10:30 tomorrow, our time, Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry. And ready to go, guys. We will be running the whole thing beginning to end. If it's 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes. If it's 10 hours, it's 10 hours. I'll be here the whole time. So come on in, everybody. Please and thank you. And I figured there's a couple questions I still have things that I had questions about. And I know there was some that I was being sent emails about, so on and so forth. So why not have a conversation the day before? I don't see a problem with that. Speaking of combo, who do we have in here right now? Looks like Angel D's in the house. Randy Fur, welcome back, brother. Josie West, always wonderful to see you, ma'am. Melissa, Z6R6B, hello and welcome back. Lacey, good to see you. Mikey's in the house with the last 24. I hope you ain't too tired, bro. Great to see you. Hemisphere, welcome back to you. Brandy B, the OG. Great to see you, dear. Samira Dalby, welcome back to you. And guys, please make sure to hit that like button as you come through the door and share this out if you would. Paula Fitzhenry, welcome back, dear. Wonderful to see you as always. Rhode Island housewife, welcome back to you. Murky Piglet, hey, good to see you. Just wanted to pop in and make sure you know Hitler isn't using YouTube anymore. I do have the new link for what he's using. We're good. Piglet, I have it's all set up and ready to go. But thank you, dear. I appreciate that very much. Sally Shepardson, welcome. Great to see you. Under and over it, welcome back to you. Wonderful to have you here. And you're welcome to hang out, Murky, if you're interested. Of course, always wonderful to have you here. Miss Sherry, welcome. Wonderful to see you again. Come on in, guys, and grab a seat. It's great to see you guys again. 33 peeps in the house, 23 likes. We're getting there. We are getting there. Let's see here. Yeah, they're using um a new live stream link through the Ada County court system, and I have it all set up and ready to go. Have to click boom and off we go. I appreciate that so much, Murky. I really do, because if I wouldn't have known, then I'd have been sitting here going, and I appreciate you thinking of me. I really do. Yes, I have it all set. Think my team is amazing. They went looking for everything immediately when we realized, and they did it. SRBs came through like shine like gold. So they're amazing. But God bless you, Murky. I really appreciate you so very much. AR's in the house. What's happening, brother? Good to see you. Great. I'm glad you made it to Boise safe. Glad to know you're going to be there as well. Law and Order is showing it. Law and Crime. Got you, Hemisphere. Law and Order. I'm like, wait, is it already on there? Let's see. We love you too, Miss Sherry. Great to see you, AR. Like I said, I know that's a road trip, I'm sure, and I'm glad you got there safe, buddy. It's okay, bro. It's okay. You had me going, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Law and Order. They made an episode already? Come on. But no, that was good. Yeah, I imagine it's going to be, buddy. I imagine. I mean, it's a pretty good sized courtroom, you guys. Um, as you can see, here, I'll show you real quick. They show a picture of it right here, one of the courtrooms. I mean, it's pretty good size, folks. And this is the link that we have to go through to stream it, obviously, live. So, yeah, it seems like it's got enough room for quite a few people. Just be safe in there, AR. Great to have you guys all here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, pin it here, and I'm going to pin the link in the chat. Since we're doing a discussion again. Gotcha, Hemisphere. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. I have some questions. I do. I've been thinking, I keep thinking about this secondary car that I have issues with. And Melissa, wait, what? Glad to see we've made one more day. This new virus going around, it happens only so often. Oh, wow. Well, I hope you're okay. Again, guys, share this out if you would. Let everybody know what we're doing in here. Come on in and grab a seat. Let me see. Where's all my... Oh, we got Brandy in here and Mikey. Where's the rest of the blue crew? Yeah, I'll be live first thing in the morning with it, Sherry. 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be here and ready to go. The dang link the court put in their community post for news stream isn't even right. Doesn't work. Oh, wow, really? Well, I'm hoping. Danger Zone. Good afternoon, Dan. Good to see you. I'm hoping the one that I have is going to work. If not, I'll have it ready to go. That's why I'm coming in a half hour early. Spontaneo. What is that? That's wild sounding, Melissa. Obsessed and following this case. And yeah, I'm there with you. House. I think a lot of us are, Rhode Island. I think a lot of us are. Let me see. Welcome back, Jules. Bemmy Rose. Great to see you. Under and over. Here we go. Here we go. Kind of excited about tomorrow because I'm really curious. I'm really, really curious to see if Hitler addresses Cy Ray's document. I have a bad feeling he's not going to. That's my thing, but I could be wrong. Welcome back, Miss Charlotte. Good to see you. Niles Buckman, welcome. I do appreciate you and that, sir. Thank you much. Miss Jules, wonderful to see you. Yeah, it's probably gonna be packed solid, AR. Just be careful, bud. Don't be getting around too many people and getting yourself sick, brother. You don't need that for sure. That's the last thing you need. Miss Jackie Young, welcome back to you. Seems random group. What? So what is? No, I'm joking. I was gonna say, what are you talking about? Spontaneous quad homicides are breaking out. We need. Okay, I got you. Now you got me. You did get me. Okay, you had me thinking, Melissa. Like, is there something I need to look out for? That was good. That was good. Come on in. Miss Cat Lady, welcome back again. Wonderful to see you, my dear. Always a pleasure to have you here. I hope you're doing well up there in Canada. Great to see you guys. While we're waiting, guys. True Seeker, good to see you. You guys are welcome if it's okay. If you feel like you want to do it, to let us know where you're tuning in from. I always love to see that. No. It was actually, that was pretty good. You got me on that one. You know, William Doyle, I don't know. That's what I'm curious about. I'm a little nervous about it too. And that, like Dan just said, that's a huge, not big, but huge, Dan, huge if. Kelly Coker, welcome back to you. Randy, thank you so much, brother. And Kelly says, I'm from Tennessee. Welcome from the South. Better weather there than we have here. Bossier City, Louisiana. Oh, that's Louisiana. That's awesome stuff. Hemisphere. Niles is out of Honolulu. I'm jealous. True Seeker coming from the Carolinas. Randy Fur, my neighbor in PA. That's awesome, you guys. Thank you for that. It's nice to know where everybody's at. True Seekers in Northern California. Yeah, that's a big if he addresses it in any way, shape, or form. I'm curious to see how or what he does with it. I mean, it's out there. The whole world has seen it at this point, and you got to do something with it. You can't ignore it. If you ignore it, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem, I think. I feel like that would have to trigger an investigation and be a big deal. You know, I'm kind of, yeah. While it's obvious, if it's true, it's basic prosecutorial misconduct, Dan. So at that point, what do you do with that? You know, what do they do with that? They can't just fire Ashley and then move on. They'd have to do something about it, in my opinion. Welcome, Cockney. Good to see you out of East London. That's awesome. Great Britain. Love it. This hearing is gonna be I believe in regards to the in Lemonies, the two different Lemonies, I believe. It's gonna make a big problem. Yeah, it's gonna say a lot in my opinion. Charlotte's in Kentucky. '81 tomorrow. I'm not ready for the heat. It's been freezing here. We had snow this morning, you guys. I was like, what is going on? I am done with the snow. Really done with the snow. Be real. Welcome back. 2 days of hearings. Yeah, we have tomorrow and Thursday. And I will be covering both days. We did get 2 documents dropped, and it's basically a motion and an order to seal. Cockney's out of Great Britain as well. I love having you guys over the pond. I do. The UKers, I love them. Yes, all the cool kids are here today. I just had a major ice storm with a. Oh, geez, cat lady, that's crazy. I'm sorry. I seen Michigan got some of that ice storm. I'm sorry you guys got it too. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Come on in, guys. Hit that like button on the way through the door, please, and thank you. We got 72 peeps in the house with 41 likes. I think we can do a little better, guys. Just a little. Amor, welcome. Just think the only thing Brian lied about was potentially getting drugs from EB. That's a very good theory, Amor. Truly. And at this point, I don't see much of anything else that Brian did have anything to do with, unfortunately. Eddie's been here, Angel. He's been here every day. He was here this morning. You weren't, but Eddie was. Simply Solo said Yenzal. I love it when she says that. Welcome back, Simply. Good to see you. Miss Cat K coming from deep down in the heart of Texas. Awesome. My dogs are fighting again. There he is right there. I knew he'd be here. Eddie's a man. Always love having Eddie here. I got questions, you guys. I was talking to my wife about it. And I've seen somebody else questioned it too. And I know it's a subject that's been drugged. You guys know. Oh, it's okay. No worries, Angel. There's your buddy. Eddie's right there. And Josie's in the house. Happy birthday again, Miss Josie. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It means a lot that you're spending some of your birthday time in here with us. That says a lot. So thank you for doing it. I hope you're having a great day. William Doyle says Hitler might address it and simply say that Ann Taylor can use it in conjunction with his testimony. Here's the thing. I think that it should be used. No, I don't think so, William. It's too deep for that. There's more to it than that, in my opinion. I would think that they should be able to bring back the Franks hearing, revisit that, and it should be approved at that point, if that's something that he addresses in that sense. That is my opinion, of course, but I don't know that it will. Thank you, Josie. I appreciate that, sis. Everybody make sure you tell Miss Josie happy birthday. She's 29 years young today. Let me see. All right. Yeah, I'll read. I'll read you guys you guys have probably, some of you have already probably seen it, but I'll show you the last two. I was actually expecting a couple more to drop in today too, but they didn't, surprisingly. But that's all right. Let me show you the last two that I saw earlier. We have order sealing the defendant's notice. This one was put in yesterday. Hold on. What are you doing? Troublemaker. God, he's such a troublemaker. He's such a little bully. He's the cutest thing in the world. He looks like a giant dust mop with eyeballs, and he's such a bully, and he's so mean to the other. The humper dog, I call him. He growls at him. He picks at him. It's mean. So this dropped on the 7th. The order sealing the defendant's notice expert disclosure for Exhibit D7B. And it's hereby ordered that notice has been sealed, and that's all that is the order sealing it. And then the next one we have is the stipulated motion. To seal the defendant's notice. That's all it was the motion. So they put forth the motion, and then Hitler sealed it. And that was that. That's all we've gotten brand new. They sealed exhibits S1. There's the first supplemental request for discovery disclosure and notice of appearance for Attorney Hurwitz, and he's going to be helping with jury selection. My understanding is he's a special attorney. And then this next thing here, I don't know if you guys saw this. This is the state's first supplemental request for discovery disclosure. It says, please take notice that the undersigned, pursuant to Rule 16C of the Idaho Criminal Rules, Idaho Code 18-207. Welcome, Blackhawk 57 Magnum. Wonderful to see you today. Good job. Exactly, Dan. Request discovery and inspection of the information, data, and materials listed in the attached sealed Exhibit S1. This is a continuing request pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 16J. While this first supplemental request applies to all of the defendant's expert witnesses, the specific basis for this request is that the defendant's disclosure of the reports of the forensic psychiatric evaluation by Dr. Eileen Ryan and the neuropsychological evaluation by Dr. Rachel Orr appear to be incomplete. The reports do not appear to be accompanied by all the results and tests conducted as part of the examinations, Idaho Criminal R16C2 and II. The facts and data for the opinions contained in the reports, Idaho Criminal R16C4, as such, they do not afford the state a complete opportunity to consider the substance of such testimony and prepare for rebuttal. Through its own experts, Idaho Code IC 18-207. Accordingly, the state requests that defendant immediately produce the underlying data, evaluation, and examination results as outlined in sealed Exhibit S1. That was dated April 2nd. So that's in regards to the psychological background and so on and so forth. And this was to the defendant's counsel. Basically, they need to put those results out there. I'm sure they will. Welcome, Allison. Wonderful to see you again, dear. And Stitches in the house. CZ's in the house. Welcome back, Miss Teacher Ma'am. Glad you're off work and here to join us. Sally Shepardson, great to see you. Do you think that the Attorney General Pam Bondi might shut the trial down if Cyray's document is not addressed? I don't know. That's an interesting question, though, Sally. If it gets brought to her attention, and if it's seen and it's not addressed, I can imagine that she could do something like that. That's a great question. I don't know that she will, but it's a great question. Welcome, Ruby Slippers. Great to see you. Miss Potts. I'd love to see Miss Potts today. Melissa. Did anybody hear that the tripod that was recording all night at 11:22 is the backyard? They took out that camera that class was using for that special project. Yeah, I've heard about that, Melissa. Leslie and Billy, good to see you, my dear. Thank you for being here. Billy, my brother, I hope you're getting better. Praying for you every day, my friend. Always in my thoughts and prayers. Did you hear that tornadoes and rain? We sure. We got snow, Murky. It snowed here and froze last night. That's what we got. And it was snowing throughout the day and it's still cold, but it's sunny. It looks warm, but it's not. Doc, welcome back. Wonderful to see you. Willie! I don't think she will either. I don't think she will. Dagburn, Johnny Gobble's dead. Floozy Mama's in the house. Hello and welcome back. Thanks for letting me say your name. What's happening, brother? Make sure you guys leave a little bit of DNA on that like button on the way in the door, please, and thank you. Oh, I didn't even know Miss Potts was live. God, why don't I get notifications for her ever? I know I'm subscribed to her, but I never do. I'd have been in there before here. That sucks. You don't think you'll be participating? See, something's going to happen. If they don't address this and they don't look into this, that's going to be bad. That's going to be really bad. Oh, it's going to be long as hell, in my opinion, too, Josie. It's going to drag out. And it'll probably go into overtime, as I call it. Amanda Smith, welcome. Good to see you. Again, anybody that would like to join, I do have the link pinned. It is an open discussion. One thing I want to look into and talk about is this car. It's been bugging the shit out of me, you guys. I can't let it go. I've been telling you guys I truly, honestly believe there was a secondary car driving that neighborhood because Brian wasn't there. Phil is in the house. I hope you're feeling okay. Did you go get checked out, Phil? I hope you're doing better. Um, tripod. I haven't heard that since high school. Yeah. Anyway, you're a mess. Um, the car that they found in Oregon, okay, it was cleared like overnight, and it sat there for a week before they even touched it. And it's just so ironic to me, the coincidence related to that car. It bothered the hell out of me, but I let it go and moved on because of other stuff. And I can't get past thinking about it. It keeps coming back. I know it might be nothing, you guys, and it's just bullshit to some people. It bothers me because I know there was another car driving around that night out there. I know there was. And it again, it wasn't Brian's because he wasn't there. He was in somewhere else completely different. Amanda says it was Kelly Farley's car. As I've been saying for a while, guys, I'm truly, truly comfortable saying that I believe there was a car driving around that area with 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 people in it, and that's the car that should have been being looked at, and it wasn't. In honor of Twiz Lewiston. If it does go over, I wonder if Idaho lets their jurors lets them out over the time frame moves it. I doubt that. I don't think they would in a case like that, Josie. It's crazy. What do you mean? What's up with Twiz? There's Alicia. You scared me for a minute. Yeah. I believe him. Twiz says it every day. Brian was in Lewiston. Can't hold jurors hostage. It's true. That's true. I don't know. I mean, do you think they would release them, bring in alternatives on a case like this, or would they try to keep everybody there? I don't know that it will go over though, because Hippler seems like he's not having it. He doesn't want this case to begin with, so I highly doubt it, Sherry. Hold on a minute here. I'm going to pull something up. Anybody, again, like I said, anybody feels like joining me up here, you're welcome to. The link is pinned in the chat. If not, no worries. I promise I don't stink. But you're welcome to pop up here if you want to. And again, that doesn't mean you have to. I was just letting you know it's there. So I was watching. I'm addicted to Chicago Fire now, and I was watching it. I think I'm on season 3 now, trying to get caught up. And how excited did I get? This is how ridiculous I am. When they were calling about an arson and something else with a case, and Olivia Benson gets on the phone with Chicago PD, and they do a crossover, and they bring her in from SVU to Chicago Fire. I was like, oh my god, look at that! Too funny. Tells you how boring my life is. 1923. My wife wants to watch that too, SRB. All right. This is something I'm really interested in. And I really want to understand this more. Don't tell it, Allison, because I have not seen it yet. I want to see that pretty bad. Good to see SRBBBBB in the house. Mama Bear was here this morning. It's kind of late for her because she could probably pop in, but I knew she had some stuff she had to finish up, and she won't be here too late often because she's got to get to bed early. Randy Furr, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you? How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I had to turn my other stream off.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Good
make
to
sure it
hear you.
doesn't echo.
No, you're good. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Well, I haven't been up for ages, and didn't seem like anybody wanted to jump up. I'm just sitting here enjoying the sauce, so I thought,
There you go.
I'd just get up and say
There you
hello.
go. It's possible, Sally. It's very, very possible. He could have bought them from anybody, to be honest with you. From my understanding, there was a lot of people that were putting those out around there. So, what do you think, Randy, so far about all this?
You got a gun? I'll tell you, I'll tell you what I think.
I mean, I do, but yeah, right.
No, no,
I get it.
I'm kidding, of course. What do I think? Basically, I have so many weird questions. Go back that goes back to the beginning. Things like how come we didn't see the bodies get moved?
Sure.
Somebody going to the hospital. There's just so many questions. The cars, I don't even want to go there. That the reflection stuff was like, I must be too old. I don't understand any of that.
I couldn't get with that either. That was too much. That went too far, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to listen to everything, but that was a bit too much for me. So,
what do I think so far? Basically, is I don't think Brian is. I don't think it was him.
yeah. And you know this, Randy. You've been around for a long time since I've been covering this whole case. And from the beginning, I was in the middle on this. Like, I need to know what's going on before I can say, and I was holding out till trial, truly, okay, before I can say guilty or innocent. And I'll be honest with you, at this point now,
yeah,
I done jumped off the fence and I'm sitting on the innocent side completely now because of everything I've seen just in the past month. At that point, it's like it doesn't make any sense whatsoever how to look even remotely look over on the guilty side of this. I can't.
Yeah.
So
there's so much weird stuff going on. The phone calls, the information coming out on the phone calls, and what was said, and photos were taken on Snapchat or whatever. And why is that? I didn't want to hear that shit. Let's just get to trials.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe they moved it up. I'm like, God, we have to wait till August. My birthday's in August, and I don't want to discuss that.
Yeah, no, I got you. And I think I feel bad for Ann now. At some point, I was irritated with her. Like, why are you putting through all these damn motions? Why are you dragging your feet? What's going on here? What's going on there? Until I saw this, and I went, "Wow, okay, now I get it." Because she had all this stuff thrown at her, purposely disorganized and screwed ups to try to throw her off, in my opinion, to not see these things. And they bring in this guy that says, in the 30 years that I've been doing this, I have never seen ever such a misrepresentation of information being shown to the court by the prosecution. And he's worked for nothing but prosecution. He's never worked for the
he never worked for the defense. He's always worked for prosecution.
Right. And to say that, and then to say that this is, in his opinion, covering up a much bigger issue.
Right.
That's a problem, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, if the judge lets that go, that's just crazy. If that doesn't come into trial, one way or the other.
Absolutely. Absolutely horrible.
Excuse me. Oh, my. So what do we got here? We got a tape. A video.
Oh, this is something I'm curious about. Let me check up here, make sure I got everybody in here. Yeah, I thought Cy was okay, and after I read up on his credentials the first time we were introduced to him, I said, "Oh, well, that's cool, that's good," until he dropped this document, and I said, "Oh, okay." This is the real deal situation here, and this is going to be, in my opinion, if this gets broke open and broken in half, this is what's going to do it, truly. So I want to run this real quick and check out this car. I'll be right. Hold on a minute here.
All right, now our other top story, an update in the murder investigation of 4 University of Idaho students. Here are the top 3 things you need to know that have just emerged today. First, after a video was taken on the night of the murders from a downtown business, police have confirmed they have now identified a man who was referenced in a security video by two of the victims from the night of the murder. Police are saying that man is now cooperating with police. Also tonight, after an extensive search for a white Hyundai Elantra, Moscow police believe one was spotted near the crime scene the night those students were killed, and they have long said that whoever was in the car could have critical information. Well, now they are aware of a white Hyundai Elantra located in Eugene, Oregon. That's the car you're looking at right now. We also just learned from Moscow police that car is registered out of Colorado. They believe it has no connection to the property in Moscow where the murders took place.
Except for the fact that the man that owned the property owned the car. That, to me, is a problem. Okay, there's coincidences.
Yeah,
but then there's coincidences. Okay. The man that owned the car owned the property that the murders happened in. That's not a coincidence, you guys. That's too much for me. It's always been too much for me.
And we'll just blow it off.
And that's what they did. They blew it off. They pointed everybody's attention at other stuff, which we went, and no, it's not that. That's nothing. It doesn't have nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. The man that owned the home that the murders were committed in owned the car, and it's a white Elantra. Are you kidding me?
It's hilarious, actually.
It makes no sense. It's insane. Critical, what's up? Well, that's what we were told, Critical, that Estes owned this vehicle at one time. Now, if it's not true, okay, fine. But if it is absolutely true, the whole world was told that. That's why I took it for what it was. If it is, well, not at this point. I'm saying at one time Estes owned this car, supposedly. And if it was true, in my opinion, it was such a coincidence that it's not a coincidence. And it was wrecked and left for a week. Just left here for whatever reason. Okay. And then they cleared it within 24 hours, I believe. So I don't understand that. I just don't. So anyway, let me run the rest of it.
The Moscow police chief did give a full breakdown today of where the investigation stands right now. Here's what he had to share.
So I know there's been some questions about the leadership in this investigation. What I want people to know is this is a Moscow Police Department investigation. We're utilizing the resources of the FBI and state police, but we pick the investigators. My command team oversees this. We have 94 years of experience between us, and we're going to continue to work this case. We're going to continue to work it to the completion. We have a lot of resources that we're utilizing, but we still ask for your help. We ask for any tips that you might have, anything that you might be able to give us. We're going to take a look at those, but be assured that this investigation is the Moscow Police Department's, and I am the chief, and we're going to follow through with this. And just know that from the very beginning of this, we've been a unified group, and we make decisions together. But those ultimately, I stand behind to the end. I'd like to update you on our tips so far. We've received 7,600 email tips. We've received 4,300 phone tips. We've received 4,500 digital tips. All of this helps build the picture that we're trying to put together here to solve this case. What we want you to know is we appreciate all your help. We appreciate everything that you've done, but we're asking that if you have anything additional, please just send it to us through our tip line or through our email tip line. We appreciate that.
They have had a lot of tips.
And what I took that as is, well, we have the guy that we want to put this on. We're done. We don't need to look at anybody else. That's the end of the story.
Exactly. That's what I got out of it.
I mean, that's what they did. Do you know what I mean? That's what they did.
Right. Oh, by the way, my name's Randy. I'm with the FBI. Did you look up Brian Koberger?
Yes.
I think
yes.
he might have done it. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Fuck all those other, excuse me.
Yeah. And you're
the hell with all those other leads, all the other unanswered questions. Just
and any other DNA, throw it away. Do not put it in CODIS. Do not do anything. Just get rid of it. We don't want you to use it. You don't need it. It's that guy right there. That guy's it. Promise. I promise. We're the FBI. We're not going to lie to you. Come on. Just get rid of everything else you have and put it on him. That's it.
Yeah, just look at all this car information we have on him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Welcome, Sarge. Good to see you, sir. What? And I'm gonna just what a mess. That's it's a damn mess. Sweet and salty. Good to see you. I don't understand. I really, really just don't understand. No, this doesn't seem to have a sunroof. I can't see one.
No, I don't think it does.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand this. So, we're just talking about different things, Sarge, and different. I'm trying to figure out another car. Hold on.
Coming in, including one about this white Hyundai Elantra that was found in Eugene, Oregon. At this hour, police are saying it had nothing to do with the murder that we know of so far. But law enforcement is still asking for any information that could help solve this case. That tip line.
I'm not going to give you the number because they don't want any more tips. They don't. They just.
We got our guy.
Yeah, they got their guy. You're in top chat. What happened, SRB? Sentra. You know what? That's my thought too. Is they might be needing to look for a different type of car. What's up, Saj? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Howdy, dirty dandy.
There he is. What's up, Sarge?
The car's a red herring. There's no cars. There's no car in this crime.
Well, no. I'm not saying it was involved in the crime, but I think that there's people that were in another vehicle that were involved in the crime, possibly. That's my opinion, of course.
What do you mean?
There was another. I still think I told you this before. Obviously, Brian's car isn't the car. I know you think it's a herring, and I absolutely get what you're saying too. What the hell was I going to say now? That I still think there was a secondary car, another Elantra, driving around that night that had some kids in it or some people in it, and that they could have been involved in this. That's just a thought.
Well, there was a second car that came out of WSU at 240. 42. What did Brian leave? 247 or something?
47, yeah.
So there was another white sedan that they're assigning to him. That is not him.
Right.
His car went south, and the network will show it going south and handing him off.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, we do know that they've identified a second car. Right at the moment, they're trying to claim one is Brian, but in fact, the phone shows, according to Ann, that his car is going south, and the one they're ascribing to him in the PCA is not Brian Koberger.
Right.
It's a white car, and it could even be an Elantra, just not him.
Right. No, agreed. That's what I'm saying. That's what I've been freaking out about. I can't get out of my head, Sarge. You know how I'm like you with certain things. When I start thinking about something, it doesn't go away until I get some kind of resolve to it. And shit. Hold on one second, folks. That's my wife.
That's okay. Who's up here with us? Anybody I've talked to before?
I don't know, Sarge. I don't think I've ever been on a panel with you before, but I've certainly seen you in the past on numerous chats.
Good to be heard.
Yes. Nice to meet you, sir.
Yeah, I don't see your handle here. What's
it's Randy. Randy Fur. I go by my real name, probably one of the few people.
I use mine too, Bruno Pelicano. It's all over Twitter and everywhere. I don't hide.
No reason to, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I've had people come after me, but it never ended well. So,
right.
I had a person in Europe try to take my company down with hundreds of phone calls in a row, but we got him.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I'm patient. I don't mind taking a little. Yeah, I'm patient. Life is life is good. So,
I've been out of. Basically, my business fell apart during COVID. I basically lost, all my business because I was doing it was a production company. We did road shows. We had 2 bands. We did theatrical productions up and down the East Coast, and COVID hit, and none of those venues.
That ain't good though.
None of those venues are working. I went from heavy work for 8 years to nothing.
Wow.
So happened to the best of us.
Yeah. So I sit at home now and watch YouTube.
Cool. Dago, I do construction. Just keep that in mind. Don't do any more clarification than that if you don't mind.
I know. You do the same thing my son does. I know. We've talked before, remember?
Yeah, I know. But in one stream, I didn't say anything because I think it was in the audience. He made a little more clarity because of some connection between what was being shown. And I was like, Rrr.
Oh, construction.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
I get it.
Just be careful. Just stick to that specific.
I understand. My apologies. Yeah, my son works in construction too.
Did you hear what the egg said to the boiling water?
Oh shit.
So I don't know if I could perform. I was just laid by a hen a few minutes ago.
There you go. Gotcha.
It's funny.
Oh man, what do you call a pig that knows karate?
A karate pig.
A pork
chop.
chop.
There you go.
Hey.
You got it.
Hey, there you go. I knew it was coming.
Oh man.
No, I got a lot of issues, Sarge. Like I said, you had certain things when you get hung up on something, it doesn't go away until you get some kind of resolve in it.
Yeah.
And I'm really bothered by what this other car is that exists. I know it exists at this point. I have no question in my mind. And I wondered who was in it. They said it. They clearly said it at some point in one of the press conferences. And I think it means something. And
so they said what?
They were looking for a white Elantra.
And they were looking for 11 to 13 Elantra with a person or persons in it that may be able to help them. Yeah. No, they elaborated and it even included more than one.
Yep. There was a plural to that, yes. And ever since then, I had it in the back of my mind, but just recently, with all this other shit coming out, it's really been bugging the hell out of me, and I just can't stop thinking about it. I've been trying to figure out how many cars were looked at or talked about, which weren't many. But we know that there's 20,000+ of these cars in this area.
Right.
And that Oregon car bugged me because of how quick it was discounted and the fact that it was left there for a damn week. Then there was the statement made that car was owned by Scott Estes, who owned the home that murders happened in, which bothered the hell out of me. And they just blew that off like it was nothing. But I was told that's not true. So if it's not true, then so be it.
I also heard that there's some talk now of that camera in the backyard is coming back up.
It was was being used, yeah, on the tripod,
yeah, but
right?
Are people not paying attention to the motions to eliminate, the motion to suppress, and the discovery? That's not in any of that.
No, it's not.
And so if people, I don't know where people come out of their butthole with stuff like this.
Well, you know how the rumor mill goes with this shit. It's crazy. Now that was brought up. There was a camera setting in a tripod off to the back in the area. That was a class project for one of the classes on campus, supposedly. That was brought up in the very beginning, and it was taken down. That's all I know about it, guys, so I can't answer any questions on it.
I'm not so sure why it would be looking at the homes of their neighbors. What kind of a project would that be, for one?
No idea.
I mean, I could see, time-lapse weather collection or something up in the air or look, I don't know. Here's the thing. It was mentioned in the beginning. And there's been no mention of it and no argument towards it, for it, or even that it exists in any of the proceedings or in any of the documents thus far.
Nothing.
And discovery is closed.
Yeah, that's true.
They can't just all of a sudden come up with this random camera. These students and look, if they'd had a camera image of the potential suspect, whoever they determined it to be, that would have been included with the arguments coming forward, I would suspect. I mean,
I would imagine, yeah.
We see all of these sealed hearings and everything being released, but even why would that be sealed?
Right. Yes, it was Dan Estes. I'm sorry, guys. I said it wrong. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And not to mention, that's been brought up again, Sarge, and I don't know if it came from Steve Gonsalves or not, but that
somebody I heard said they got a video of him coming in.
They got a video. I don't believe that. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that.
Nope.
If they had a clear-cut black and whatever color, black and white, whatever video of this man getting out of a car and getting back in the car, we'd have heard about that 2 years ago. Right. Truly, in my opinion. That's like a bomb, folks. That's the nail in the coffin. This is the guy, end of story. And I would have never had this argument about this if that was the case. So,
and everything in Dylan's statement was pre-led by a policeman,
including
the kind of mask, the bushy eyebrow, or the eyebrows themselves. Those were brought up to Dylan. She didn't offer them up as part of the description until after the issue was broached by the police. So that should not be admissible. But I'm sure it's going to be. But I think those motions she's offering, many of those things she's arguing should not be admissible because none of them verify Brian Koberger directly.
No, and that I heard today that the fact that he stood silent was so that they could identify him, because there was no way to identify him beforehand for the crime per se. And I heard that today, and I would never know that before.
Say that
So
again.
from the way it was explained to me, was that he, by standing silent, that was how they were able to identify him for the crime per se. Because beforehand they didn't have the ability to do that. I don't quite understand how that works, but that is what I heard today, and that was the reason why that happened. So
No, that's not what standing silent
I didn't
means.
think that's what it meant. I thought it was so that
I'll
he
tell
had
you what it
zero
means.
connection to the crime.
Standing silent is your refusal to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty at
Right.
the arraignment.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all it is.
Well, what it was stated was the reason why he chose to do it. I thought it was so that he could retain, or to stay out of having any sort of connection whatsoever with the crime, good or bad. That it was just, he didn't want nothing to do with any of it. That way he didn't say a word. That's what I understood, but I was told different.
Well, you do it to try to avoid to incriminate yourself, or
Yes.
if you're going to enter into a plea deal, you may do that, or if you're protesting the charges of the court is levying at you.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
That's where I interpreted what he was doing.
Right.
Connected to his statement of exonerate.
That makes sense. And I did have another question, more questions too about thank you. That stop in August, that they pulled him over in August. Why is it that every other police stop is available to us but that one?
I thought the August stop was when he went through the light, when he was trapped in the intersection. No.
That was October. There was one in August that they refused.
That was October?
Yep.
Okay.
The one in October was the female police officer that he questioned about the laws and pulling into the light. Yeah. No, there was one in August before that they will not. People have tried to FOIA every bit of it, and they will not release it. They won't let any of it out, and I have to wonder why.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
I got to run. I've got some kind of issue going on with my dogs upstairs. They usually are down here with me in the studio all the time. They left about 15 minutes ago. Now they're all barking, so I got to.
All right, brother. You're always welcome, Randy. The link's up there if you want to come back. Whatever. I appreciate you joining me.
Okay.
And I hope to see you again soon.
All right. See you, Sarge.
Talk there. Nice meeting you there. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, Randy's a good dude. But no, when they pulled him over in August, it was for a seatbelt. From my understanding, he was held there for an hour or more for this seatbelt thing. They refused, and multiple, like Jules even went to try to FOIA it and everything. They will not release any of it, Sarge, for whatever reason. It should
maybe they removed the blade from his car in a sheath. I remember I said it was a long time ago. I said the defense should request that the evidence room of that police department be held down, and that they provide a list of what is in their custody, and see if any of that includes K-bar and knife sheath. Exactly. I said that way in the beginning. If people are going to complain that the cops directly set them up, which I find to be a little bit. Anyway, it is what it is. But I always thought that that would be a good look in their evidence room. Did the police department have in their possession from a confiscation or from a separate crime?
Yep.
K-bar and USMC sheath.
I have wondered that myself, sir. I have wondered that myself. That'd be quite interesting. Let me pause everything real quick, folks. We have looks like an Amber Alert. We have a missing abducted child out of Temple, Texas. Child's name is Natalia Herrera. She's 14-year-old black female. Last seen wearing a green hoodie, blue jeans, and black shoes. Anastasia Herrera, 15-year-old black female. Last seen wearing a black puffy jacket. Or wait a minute.
There's two missing then. There's two girls.
Yes, Anastasia Herrera, 15-year-old. Must be sisters, I'm going to guess. Black female, last seen wearing black puffy jacket, black shirt, black shoes. Call Temple Police with information and or call 911. I would just call 911, folks. If you're in the Temple, Texas area and you have any ideas with this, please call 911 immediately if you see either one of these girls or anything resembling this situation that seems off to you. Please dial 911 right away. Thank you, Cassie, very much. Jesus, what a mess. 2 teenage girls in Texas. That's horrible. But yeah, that was one of my biggest thoughts, Sarge, when I heard that you couldn't get any information on that. Did Brian have this knife in his car that he drove around, kept keeping it for protection, and they said, "Hey, you can't do that. That's illegal," and took it from him? Wonder.
I mean, yeah, that would explain it. Knife sheath.
It really would, to be honest.
But the other thing is, now we know for sure that it wasn't the lab that tested the sheath. That's they were given a swab that was supposed to have been, they swabbed the button snap,
that's what turned my head completely all the way around.
We still don't know if that's stainless steel or brass.
That's true. That's true.
I would suspect it to be brass, but
I imagine it is. Yeah. I'm telling you that when I realized that they sent a swab and not the sheath, I was done at that point. That's when it was all over for me. I'm done.
Well, I think what a lot of people aren't really noticing is that they're building up a circumstantial case, and what they're telling you seems unbelievable. Like the guy owned a mask and a K-bar, and it seems like, well, that proves he was involved. And that's the way a lot of people. I mean, it's just too coincidental. But is it too coincidental when they're telling you one car is his and they know for a fact it's not?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a coincidence or an intentional lie?
That's an intentional lie, as far as I'm concerned, sir.
Are all of these sightings of the vehicle? Can they confirm them to be a vehicle owned by Brian Kohlberger? The answer is no.
Nope.
So they I don't own a K-bar, but I don't think it's that odd of an item to own.
It's not. I know.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Right.
Anybody that's been in the military, not anybody. I know 5 people that own them. I'll tell you that. I know 5 people right now. My son is one of them. He has one. My buddy Jeff has one. I know Angie, my friend that passed away, she owned one because it was given to her, and she wanted it because of what the stamp was, because she loved the Marine Corps. Many people own these knives because they were Marine Corps knives, and they're just is a decent knife. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, it's not an odd thing.
That kind of mask is definitely a mask a runner would own. And even that mask was brought up before. In other words, the style mask.
Yep.
Was brought up before, and the picture she drew was consistent with the style mask that he mentioned. Right. That the cop mentioned. It's like they're not supposed to do that at all. It's strange, man. I'd like to just see a piece of evidence that places Brian in the house, and it not be some weird Q-tip that they themselves fished off of that sheet. It'd be nice if they identified the people's DNA, the other samples that are connected to the crime.
Right. Give me 1 second, Sarge. I gotta grab.
Yeah. No, big hurry. I'm reading the chat, seeing if there's anything interesting there. Alicia says she's full. Under and over. I don't even know who that is, but you're muted, Dig. Or no, you're not. Yeah, you are. I think YouTube is behind. There we go. So, yeah, good evening, mayhem and miracles. And Amanda Smith. Can they mention the other DNA profiles? I don't see how. I mean, listen, the DNA cases are overturned by DNA that are part of the same crime scene that were never identified or pursued. And not for anything, folks, but I'll give you an example of something, and you guys can ponder this over. There's 4 of us, okay? And we all run into a house, and somebody is stabbed to death inside that residence. And all 4 of us run away, okay? Who do you charge for the murder? Now, some people would say all 4 of you. And that isn't exactly correct. Unless you took turns and passed that knife around. Who caused the fatal demise of the individual with that knife? And so that's one of the problems when you have this kind of a case with multiple sources of DNA. No matter where you find a piece of DNA, the question is, how does that DNA conclusively show this person wielded that weapon that caused the fatal blow? And that's one big problem with a case like this, where you have multiple DNA samples. And in many cases are overturned because of these multiple samples. And, if you have one person with two samples and you go after Kohlberger, and we don't know that not to be true. Isn't that fair, Dago? We don't know if anyone showed up more than once in these tests. But anyway, most DNA cases are overturned as a result of that. Multiple sources of DNA. But again, how is it once you have multiple sources on a crime scene? How do you determine which one of those people actually wielded the deadly blow? I know everyone is charged, Tomboy. I'm not denying that. But who committed the murder? One person, doesn't matter how many people were slayed by one knife. Were they taking turns? Were the other people observers? Were the other people, they went there for you to kill them? In other words, and so all of you are guilty, yes. But who committed the murder is the one that ultimately has to be determined. You can't just say all four of you killed them. I guess you could make that argument. All four of you were involved in a homicide.
Accessories, yeah, they'd be accessories.
Yeah. But who killed these young people if there's multiple DNAs?
Right.
And you're putting your eggs all in one basket, and that becomes a very appealable argument.
Yeah, very much so.
Right. I mean, that's one of the issues. This case is automatically appealable with all of these DNA samples left unchased down, undiscovered.
Wow, 100% not even bothered with. They didn't even try to run the extras through CODIS that they had, which is a joke to me. They didn't need to. They had their guy. End of story.
According to Payne, once they got to that button snap for whatever reason means.
Yeah.
Any DNA and any button snap anywhere in the world, you've got yourself the murderer. But how about Amanda Knox's DNA on the blade that committed the murder?
Thank you.
Her DNA, her touch DNA was on the knife that actually committed the crime.
Mm-hmm.
And she was eventually appealed and won the appeal.
Yep. That is very true. Very true. Well, like we just said, though, what if that August stop was there was an illegal weapon in the vehicle that was confiscated, because in that state you're not allowed to own that or have that in your vehicle. So he didn't know the law. It is what it is. They took it and put it in the evidence room, and then it just disappeared one day. Just saying.
Or that stop may just be nothing. It had nothing to do with nothing.
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. That's very possible. Jane Bosch, welcome. Miss JC, thank you for joining us today, dear.
How are you?
I'm confused. And
yeah, I'm with
I agree.
You.
Give me 1 minute.
This just frustrates me so much.
Oh, it's insane. It absolutely is insane. Jane Bosch, thank you so much. Welcome, by the way, for gifting 5 new memberships. We got Social Glow, LA, Kent Kearney, April, QT, Penny Monroe. All of you, welcome to the Sauce 5 new meatballs. Welcome, everybody, and thank you. That's so very generous, Jane. We appreciate that very much, and God bless. Thank you so much. Yeah. I don't go for it, JC. What are your thoughts?
I got a question for you and Sarge, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. I mean, I think that I don't know, Sarge. Am I completely off base if I think that he was involved somehow? But the only reason I think he was involved somehow is because of his DNA on the sheath. But that doesn't mean that you know what I mean? Like, there are 2 other DNAs on the sheath, so he may or may not be involved.
Well,
am I
DNA
off?
is just circumstantial, and so because it's circumstantial, it's not conclusive. A lot of folks don't seem to realize that.
But
DNA is
do you
circumstantial.
think that he was involved somehow, or do you think he was not involved at all?
I think he's innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right. And my answer to that, I'll be honest, I know this sounds stupid. I don't think his DNA was on the sheath. I'll put that out there. That's where I'm at with this at this point. That's just something I'm saying. And that's only because
how did they?
Thank you, Mikey. Because they sent a swab, JC. They didn't send the sheath.
So what do you? So do you think it was on the Q-tip, or do you think it was?
I can't give you an answer on that. Okay, I know this sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm not saying it wasn't on the sheath. I'm saying I have doubts about it. That's all I'm saying. When I heard that they swabbed this sheath and then they sent it off to 2, 3 labs, whatever it was, that finally got an answer out of this, that created an answer. That's what I'm calling it. They created a situation for it, and that's how it comes off to me.
Yeah, that information on the sheet was never identified to be Brian Koberger until that I don't know. Let's say that you get you do your stuff in the DNA and you get some printed document that gives you some indication of the DNA itself. It matched nobody through Othram.
Right.
Didn't match in CODIS. And the FBI got a match because they went into databases that tell their users that they're protected from unlawful searches. And in fact, that's not the case.
They used unchanged.
You can violate your constitutional rights. But anyway, it was through those databases that they're not supposed to access without a warrant that they came to the conclusion that DNA matched Brian. Or someone in his family.
After they created it. Right.
Yeah.
So this DNA was obtained illegally?
We don't know. All we know is that Othram was given this Q-tip that they claim they used to swab the sheath.
Yep. And that, I mean, honestly, JC, think about this, okay? And I know this is a reach, but with everything else I've seen, it's not that far-fetched for me. So
okay.
I'm telling you, I just swabbed a specific item with a Q-tip, put it in a bag, and I'm handing it to you, and I'm saying you got to need to get that to the lab. That was what I did with it. I just told you.
It's even simpler than that. I think what you're seeing is a propaganda campaign because law enforcement nationwide wants technology to solve crimes and take the human element out. And so if you notice, there is no story that they can weave that can place Brian Koberger in their sights conclusively. You have to draw that inference because they tell you they found his DNA, transfer DNA at the scene. And so every piece of evidence they offer, you may not even know you're doing this, but you're backdropping everything you hear against that DNA. Now, nobody's really challenged the veracity of the DNA, and let's even say it's his. The problem is that when they tell you he has a ski mask or he owned a K-barn, he bought this and he bought that, is that's all being viewed by the public through the view of he was there because of his DNA, and that's just not true. That's the catch-22. His involvement really shouldn't even be what we're looking at. Our real view should be, what is the evidence being presented that this particular individual, guilty or not guilty, irrelevant, but that the evidence shows their involvement without any question, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And through that lens, there's little of anything here. Right?
Very true. Very true. And like I said, I just don't trust anything now at all. And like I said, I just told you, JC, I swabbed this knife sheath, put it in a bag, and I want you to get it to the lab. It belonged to Brian Koberger. The sheath was whatever. Or I'm not even telling you that. I'm just telling you I swabbed this knife sheath and I want you to take. You didn't see me do it though, JC. I'm just telling you that. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem I have with that. If I would have handed you the sheath and said, tagged it as whatever this is and said, get this to the lab, this is from the crime scene, that's a different story.
And I'd like to see the delivery date of that swab versus the date that they were given Brian Koberger's name.
Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly my problem right there.
Because you could have taken that off look at people that get this conspiracy theory, him being framed. Well, you could have gotten that off the door handle of his car while he was sleeping at night.
Or when
and you could have swabbed the inside of that door handle and put it in the plastic bag and brought it back to. I don't think people are going to that extreme to frame this guy.
No, I don't think so either. But
if they are, that would be a way to do it.
Sure, they stopped him twice in Indiana. They could have they touched his driver's license. They did this. They did that. There's many ways this could have been done. Okay, I'm just saying, and I know it's far-fetched, guys. I don't look at conspiracy theories very widely or very often, but this at this point makes no other sense to me. It just doesn't.
Well, like when Eddie was in here, I don't know that they intentionally set out to frame him with a goal to cover something else up.
Right.
It's possible. But I think what you're seeing is just a very, very poorly trained and poorly executed investigation.
Yeah.
It came to an early idea and decided that was the answer and just stuck with it.
That's it. They
Every
didn't
white
try
car
to-
they
I
see now
think
is Brian. Go ahead.
Right.
Sorry.
I think they just said, "Oh, I think they were just so excited maybe that they got a name
I don't know if they were excited. Look what they did to that
and they
doctor.
that they could, like they figured, "Oh, let's just run with this." But then I think afterwards maybe now they're thinking, "Oh my gosh, we should have done this, we should have done that."
Well,
But
how about
Don't
the
forget
kid
they
that
were in a
broke into an
hurry.
apartment and he got kicked in the gut and ran out? They never identified that suspect. Why not?
Right.
How many guys are between 5'3" and 5'5"? I mean, talk about a narrow suspect list. The height alone is that's just an unusual height for a male in the United States, unless you're of Asian descent. So that is also a small sample, because how many of Asian descent are at this college where this happened? I think it was in Oregon or somewhere. Anyway, my point is, these people are just so lazy that if they don't have the answer handed to them,
they don't want to work for
they
it.
can't go with it. Yeah, they're tits on
Not
a
to
pole.
mention they were in a hurry. They were in a hurry too. So, laziness and being in a hurry don't go together very well.
I mean, I do feel though like at the time I felt like it took forever
It
to get
seemed
an arrest.
it did. It
Because
seemed,
Yeah.
but we as American people are very, especially when it comes to this, I think we are very impatient. And
oh, of course.
so we thought it took forever when in
Well,
reality, like some cases take longer, I'm sure.
Well,
look at Catch Bundy and other solids. If this guy's a serial killer, right? Look at the years that went on to find a lot of
Yeah.
them. And they still haven't found out who stole the money from the airplane there. What's his name there?
oh,
I mean, there's lots of unsolved
yeah,
cases. More than half
BB
of the murders go unsolved, just so
Well,
people know.
well, even who killed Nicole Brown Simpson? I mean,
Right.
they ain't looking for nobody else.
No,
they don't need
no.
to.
I think I understand who did that.
I think I do too.
I do too, but
Who do you suspect it is, Jason?
Tomboy, check. That's what I'm asking you, Tomboy, in Discord. If you'd look, I need the other side of it because I want to pull that up and show them real quick.
I
Who do you
mean,
think did it?
I think OJ's guilty as hell.
No, I think his son did it.
I do too. I think it was his son, his oldest son.
What?
17-year-old son.
17-year-old son.
17. Yeah.
Yep. Me
And he has a problem with. He had a bipolar issue, and he had a lot of problems with Nicole. Anger issues.
Anger issues, bad.
And I suspect it's possible. I'm not saying the kid did anything wrong, but it's possible that what OJ was doing was protecting his son.
Protecting his son, yeah.
Right, and that may not be right, folks. This is just a guess of who did it. And I hate getting into the who did it, but when you look at the OJ Simpson case and you get beyond your tunnel vision of OJ, you see other truths start coming forward, and it's potential. And as a parent, you may have been in that white SUV, that Bronco, driving away, just trying to figure out what's he supposed to do. It's my kid. We don't know what was said in that truck.
Right.
Well, and you guys have to realize too, like when I was in 5th or 6th grade when OJ did this. And so, I mean, you have to realize, like, I only got it from I was young. I didn't have any other sources except for the news. I wasn't huge into true crime at the time. And,
Right.
And, so, I mean, so I just got what the public said, the general public said, and the general public said guilty. And that's what I went with. And if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit and all the. But I didn't look at all like the technical stuff that I would now. So so if I would go back and like really look at and like listen to people that know about it, I may think differently.
Well, there was even a corrupt police officer involved in that case. So,
well, I know it was I didn't know it at the time, but I know now, and I knew then. I was like, this case just seems messed up. Like, it's just a mess. And it is a mess. And I don't know.
It's worse and worse every time they drop new documents.
Yeah. And
we don't even know how to look for justice as the American public. For whatever reason, we just don't.
I feel
we want to call winners and losers, and we want to pick who did it, who didn't do it, and then we want to argue It's kind of like these Bigfoot expeditions where half the people believe and half don't. And the fact of the matter is, the facts alone speak for themselves. And sometimes the facts cannot answer the question. And you have to accept that until new facts come along. And people just aren't willing to do that. It's like they have to have an answer. And that's why I say true crime, the last thing it should be doing is trying to seek who did it. And more trying to get the police and
Get the facts right.
Yeah, and for them to stop with this propaganda in the public.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
right.
I'm tired of that. That just destroys us. I mean, we're suffering from it now.
I just feel like the true crime community is a really big community, but
It
it's
is.
not big enough because
Hmm.
I live in Omaha, and Omaha's 500,000 people. That's a good amount of people, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like unless I go to like the events that I go to, even the events I go to, I don't know a single person there, and so I just feel like there's not, as big as our community is, it's not big enough, and there's not enough people into it like we are, and asking the right questions and the other questions and the hard questions and the different questions than just the general
There's not enough.
population.
There's
Well,
not enough critical thinkers, is what the problem is, in
it's
my
not even
opinion.
critical thinking. It's that people just don't know how to think.
Well, yeah,
And
exactly.
the
Yeah,
problem with this is that people
because
they believe
because
and
they don't.
they'll argue their belief and tell you that's the way that's the way I'm thinking about it. It's not true. You've been given a choice, guilty or innocent in this case, and in all these cases, right?
Hmm.
And so that's what people really pay attention to, not understanding that the role of the public observer in this constitutional republic requires you to observe the actions of those you've employed.
Right.
You don't pay attention to the perpetrator. You should really want to make sure that the person that they're putting the rope around their neck on, there's good legitimate reasons to
Is the
do so.
right person.
Well, and that will come out if you pay attention to the evidence. And yet that doesn't, people don't really want to do
People
that. Now,
don't know because they're too
there's some,
close-minded.
well, it's not
Mhm.
even closed-minded. It's that, look, we all live in this bubble, all of us. And I don't care. It could be your religion, your politics. We're all in a bubble. And what happens online is no different than what happens in the media. Dan, look at Drunk Turkey, right? Look at the media. Look at the media and look at a bunch of these people out here with these crazy theories about who did it,
I
who didn't
thought
do it. And
I thought he was
crazy.
crazy in the beginning of this. I thought he was nuts.
In the
And
beginning,
now,
Daniel was leaning more towards the center of the road of what may or may not have happened. But the minute
and
the media
now I'm
humiliated him, he turned into a media shrill. He was on TV. They humiliated him in blue. That's where he thinks he's getting. His goal is to be part of the mainstream media, which that's, okay. But I mean, the problem is though he doesn't see what he's doing is wrong, and neither do the people that want to bring in all these other issues of who could have done it. Like they'll show you these videos and show you these pictures and play these sounds and make an argument for who did or didn't do it, or to prove Brian didn't do it. And that's really not what we should be doing. Look at the evidence being presented. It was collected by the people that are supposed to do that, and hold it up to the light. Is that beyond a reasonable doubt that shows that car to belong to Brian Kohlberger? It's a very simple question. I mean, thinking is simpler than believing. Believe me when I tell you. It's easier to think than it is to defend a belief. So, that's one of the things that's critical. That's not even critical thinking. It's common sense when you get right down to
yeah.
it. Right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
does that DNA say that he actually committed the crime? That's a question that you need to ask yourself. And does that show beyond a reasonable doubt when there's 7 other samples that are unidentified?
absolutely not.
So
Not to
that's
mention,
the level. It doesn't mean he didn't do it. Doesn't mean he didn't drop somebody off. Doesn't, in other words, all of
It
those
doesn't mean
theories,
he's not involved.
all
But it
those
doesn't
theories
mean he
really,
is.
right.
Right.
And you can't even look at them when you're trying to just decipher the data in front of you. You shouldn't look at them. It shouldn't matter to anyone whether he did it or not. What matters is, does the evidence show he did it beyond a reasonable doubt?
and it doesn't. That's the problem. And there's so many things. There's so many things that point away from him that are being shown every other day that state that he either couldn't have done it or wasn't able to do it per se, I guess you could say, or didn't do it. But
But then
you
the
can't
other
say
side comes out and says, "Oh, I found this," and it's like, "Oh, that doesn't look too good." But then the
right.
other side comes out and says this, And you're like, that's putting him away from it.
And that is how the game is played. That's
This
exactly
is
what
why
it is.
I don't think circumstantial evidence, unless the circumstantial evidence connects a straight line, I think the prosecution should be denied from using it against an American citizen.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
They
point.
put Scott Peterson in jail and they withheld documents. I don't know what the outcome of that's going to be, but was he a scumbag? Did he cheat on his wife? Yeah, but take that out of the narrative. What's that got to do with the fact that his poor wife was murdered? If he did it, she's still his poor ex-wife or whatever. But my point is,
Yeah,
we get caught up in these narratives and these debates back and forth as to whether he did it or didn't do it. If this his car is not this his car. Anybody that thinks that's his car, not a single one of those people can give you an identifying mark that's unique to his car.
nope.
No bumper sticker, no parking sticker, no dent, no nothing. No view of the driver, I mean, or how many occupants, nothing. All you have is a sedan that they're telling you.
That's
And
it.
if you take what they're telling you and ignore what they're telling you and examine that piece of evidence and ask yourself that question, is there something in this photo that tells me Brian is driving that car? And we're not allowing ourselves to do that. We get in these big debates and not here on this channel, but I'm saying widely across true crime. And they do the same
Yeah.
thing in politics. I mean, right now people are freaking out over tariffs. They don't understand that the trading arrangements of the United States were made in 1947 to prevent Europe from being conquered again by Russia.
Right.
So we gave those people favorite status. We allowed them to pull companies out of here because they were all bombed the heck over there. Those trade agreements never altered in all these years.
Welcome, Tandy.
So now that these countries are first world and they're rebuilt and they have factories like we have factories, well, the trade agreements need to be changed. It's not that difficult to understand. And it's not something to be liked or disliked. It's just a reality of the world. We allowed for 70 years other nations to get preferential treatment from us. That's what this is. Are we now,
Right.
is it now time to pull the preferential treatment and say the playing field is even? You don't get 15 people on your team versus our 11 anymore. It's 11 to 11. What's so hard about it?
Right. Thank you, Moto Man X, for joining. Welcome to the sauce. Another new meatball jumping in tonight. Appreciate you very much. Great to
Meatballs.
have you,
I love
sir.
meatballs.
Yes, meatballs everywhere. Tandy, welcome. Good to see you. Scott, Metalhead, great to have you here. Let me catch up with everybody real fast.
Hello, everybody. I can't see chat, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
But hello, everybody.
Irene Clobber, Love Tina 2010. Great to have you here. Terry Martin, always a pleasure, dear. Of course, Willard's in the house. Sweet and salty, great to see you as well. Thank you guys for joining us. Mickey Middlesboro, UK, welcome. Good to have you. Brittany with an A, welcome, Brittany. Albariqua, Amanda Smith,
Why do I keep getting?
Virginia Wolf, good to see you, brother. Everybody else, that if I missed you, I didn't mean to, but I wanted to present this to you guys too. This is a case that came out of Moscow, folks. Okay, there's a reason why I wanted to show this to you, especially tonight.
Is this one that I'm just seeing on the news as well?
No, I don't think this was on the news at all. This happened before the Idaho court. Okay. This is State versus Meister. David Meister was charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder following the shooting death of Tanya Hart in Moscow, Idaho in December of 2001. So it happened a long time back.
Long time ago. Okay.
Meister allegedly confessed to the police that he shot Hart in exchange for $1,000 from her boyfriend, Jesse Linderman. The investigation revealed that Hart was shot twice when she opened the back door of her trailer, with the shooter fleeing the scene. At trial, Meister sought to introduce evidence implicating another individual, Lane Thomas, as the actual shooter, including Thomas's confessions and other circumstantial evidence. However, the district court ruled that such evidence was inadmissible, primarily relying on the precedent set in State versus Larson. Meister was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for murder and conspiracy to commit murder. He subsequently appealed, leading to a remand for resentencing before the case came before the Idaho Supreme Court for further review. Now, the issue with this one was whether the Idaho Supreme Court's decision in State versus Larson or the Idaho Rules of Evidence, IRE, governed the admissibility of alternative perpetrator evidence, and whether the district court erred in excluding this evidence from Meister's trial. The Idaho Supreme Court vacated Meister's conviction and remanded the case for a new trial. The Idaho Supreme Court reasoned in doing that the district court applied the incorrect standard for the admissibility of alternative perpetrator evidence by relying on the outdated ruling in State versus Larson. Rather than the Idaho rules of evidence, the court emphasized that the rules of evidence allow for the admission of relevant evidence. Unless specifically barred, it found that Meister was not given a fair opportunity to present evidence. Now, this is almost the same situation that happened, in my opinion, in the Delphi case. Judge Gall refused to allow secondary defenses to be used in this case and refused to allow certain things talked about as a defense in this case, period. You weren't even allowed to say the word in the courtroom. So in turn, this man, Richard Allen, who we watched the interrogation today during the morning show, and I watched law enforcement do what they did to get this man in their grips. It was disgusting. I've never seen anything like it today. But anyway, this is the same thing that happened in that case, okay? They disallowed for that defense to be used. In turn, that defense was exculpatory to this man. And okay, so anyway, let me go forward with this.
I heard someone say that that they think that the jury saw more than what we did in that Delphi.
We were told that the jury saw nothing compared to what we knew.
But I'm telling you, someone said, I think the jury saw more than what we did, and that's why they found him guilty. And I'm like,
Well, I
what?
Mean, I don't know. That's crazy, but
that is crazy. It was crazy to me. I was like, huh?
Thank you, SRB.
What was the trial public?
No, that's the problem. Nobody, they didn't have no cameras, no nothing. She allowed nothing in there.
Yeah.
Oh no.
We were getting secondhanded from news reporters coming out afterwards. That's how we got everything. So
the jury would be able to see more evidence than what was presented by the prosecutor and the defense. I mean, it is what it is.
From what we knew, if they weren't told certain things that we knew out here, I couldn't believe they knew anything, because there were other
she didn't allow anything.
Yeah, there were other suspects that were brought into this case. There were many of them that were not looked into. None of that. Jury didn't know any of that stuff, other than probably what they saw in the news. I also heard that some of the jury members were a little irritated because after the fact, there were things they didn't know. I don't know how true that is. So we'll see. When he does his appeal, we'll see what happens. But anyway, but that's what this case here is a lot like. And I swear, in some senses, I see that happening already with Idaho. We'll see, though. Back to where, let me find my spot again. So the court emphasized that the rules of evidence allow for the admission of relevant evidence unless specifically barred. It found that, which is, again, what happened in Delphi. Specific things were barred. It found that Meister was not given a fair opportunity to present evidence that could support his defense, including potential confessions from Thomas and other circumstantial evidence suggesting Thomas's involvement. The court highlighted the importance of the defendant's right to present a complete defense, which was compromised by the exclusion of relevant evidence. Furthermore, the court noted that the corroboration requirement for hearsay statements under IRE 804B3 was misapplied, leading to an unjust restriction on Meister's defense. Consequently, the court determined that Meister's rights were violated and granted him a new trial to allow for a proper admission of evidence. Okay, so the Idaho rules of evidence govern the admissibility of all relevant evidence in criminal trial. I can't see that part. But anyway, that being said, when that happened, when they granted the new trial and allowed for those exculpatory pieces of evidence to be admitted, guess what happened? It was overturned, obviously. Okay. So again, this case. This is Idaho, and we also have the doctor that Officer Tolleson basically framed from that area as well. The Idaho State Police officer.
I don't think it was a basically. He literally did.
Yeah, there was a literal. Sorry, not basically. He's right. Yeah. It was literal. It would happen. So this is 3 separate cases we're looking at that all have the same background, in a sense. Okay. I have I have problems with it. Tomboy just said Idaho versus Drake, so there's another one she's pulling out.
That's the doctor. So
Yeah.
this is what I mean by systemic corruption.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that most, if not all, of these policemen don't think their point of view is that they think that they're right and you're wrong.
Right.
They're judge, jury, and executioner, and then they go and play God, and they prevent information and try to stop other information that contradicts them. And it shouldn't, that's not justice. The justice is, I got you here, and you got to now contradict these beyond a reasonable doubt accusations. Here's video footage that shows you. Here's your fingerprint. Blah blah blah. And when they can't get it cut and dry like that, that's when they start to ad lib. And that's why I think circumstantial evidence is dangerous, because you could sell somebody, you could teach people and we've all been taught to believe data or not believe it. And that's the threat. There's no thinking about the data. So you could paint the picture like they are with Kohlberger that irrefutably will convince people he did it. But none of that information is independently verifiable data to show Kohlberger doing anything. But they stack it up in a certain order with the backdrop of the DNA, and they sell it to you, and you buy it. And this happens in everything: politics. It happens in religion. It happens in crime. It happens even in my industry, or in construction. People have been sold these ideas that this product's better than that product, and if you took out the recipe book and look, both of these products are made of the same ingredients. Yet people believe because they're sold on something, and that's the danger we all suffer from, and that's why we as a nation and we as a group of people are so easily manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a victim of it too. I'm not above it or better or anything else. I have the same issue others have. It happens to me too. I supported wars back in the day that I should never have supported, but I believed that these people were our enemy and that we should have done what we did. And as you grow into adulthood, you realize that believing is just, man, I believe in God. Everything else bring me proof. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah, like Dylan. Someone's bringing up Dylan. Is it Mickey Middle? I can't. It moved too quick. Man, your chat jumped 10 people in one shot.
What are you talking about?
I was reading the chat and then it boom. Mickey said something. I don't know.
Oh, it's moving fast. Yeah, it's moving a little quick.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hold on here. It's flying right now in the background. Well, this whole thing, you guys, like I said, we questioned this a couple years ago. We started questioning it, and we're basically, told to shut up and sit down, and we're out of our minds. We're crazy. You're seeing things that ain't right. That's wrong. He's guilty, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And here we are now, just months away from the trial, and things are starting to turn completely around. Okay. And
people should have seen that coming.
I think some of us
did.
Some of us did. Yeah, we did.
Some of us did. People.
When we're all told you guys are ridiculous and this is crazy, so on and so forth, and we're just sitting here waiting, going, okay.
And we're sold on probable cause doesn't mean proof. I don't understand how we can all dumb ourselves down like this.
You can't.
Just because, and that's the truth. You hear something over and over and over and over and over again, and you take it as fact.
You're gonna start believing it.
And that's what they do. You see that word? They get us to believe things, and I refuse to believe in anything created by man, whether it be his opinion, his piece of information, right? I mean, I don't even agree with Einstein on stuff, so I got to go figure it out myself. And in the end, he was right. But I know through research and asking questions and looking at papers and documents that.
Well, I'm just going to use my sister as an example. If a liar tells himself a lie is the truth so many times, they're going to start to believe it.
People believe their own lies of the most.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I said,
they're called pathological. They're called pathological liars.
Yes, and when
and habitual.
From the moment the man was arrested, okay, the very moment, the day he was arrested, it went to the news, it went to mainstream media, and we watched day after day after day, every day, every single day, even out here, but mostly mainstream media. The propaganda that was pushed. They locked this guy down. They had to kick in his doors and windows. They had to fly him across
the United States.
Made a big deal about that. Did this? Locked him up.
To me, they swatted him like they did Kopaka.
They did. They absolutely did. Okay.
That to me is the only connection between these two cases, as far as I can tell, with what I know.
Well,
And,
there's
it just seems shocking that you would have to do that to this gentleman that you know was jogging, that you knew was routine. You had cameras in his yard. So
they they
you had the
they made a
opportunity to grab the guy.
they made a spectacle on purpose of this situation. They couldn't have done it. They could
Well,
have
they
done it a
put him and his
completely different
parents'
way.
lives in danger too. You got to,
Yeah.
you don't know how people are going to react. So there's sliding doors smashed. You don't think the father may not jump out of the bed with a gun?
What if they had a gun?
What are
Yeah,
you
that's
going to do?
I would have. You know what I mean? If somebody comes in my front door like that, I don't know who you are. I have no idea why you're there. Of course, that's what people do now.
Yeah, I mean that's you. You saved that. I could see gang members and drug dealers and stuff like that being hit like that by the police and the SWAT and the DEA. But I know the guy is accused of a horrific crime, but done with a knife, and you've been watching the guy.
Right.
I don't know. I just think that was unnecessary and very dangerous, and it put the lives of that family in jeopardy, and of which they're all innocent until proven guilty. And so
Correct.
what's the deal with our police department treating us like we're terrorists hiding inside of a cave in Afghanistan? This dude
That's
lived in Pennsylvania in a multi-story colonial home
It was a
that you
gated
had access
community.
to.
A
I mean,
gated community,
yeah,
right?
you had access to the guy.
Is
Whatever.
his dad gonna be to testify?
Mhm.
I don't know. The family is available to testify if they're asked to, I guess. I don't believe they
And
will.
it'd be also a way to just shut him out of the court and alienate Brian Moore.
Yeah.
This defense is very, and this happens in a lot of prosecutions. The defense are very nasty people. And you don't have to be nasty to prove to me that Brian Koberger committed this crime and took the lives of those 4 young people and put him in front of a firing squad. It
Right.
only takes evidence to get me on your side.
Yep.
I don't need these lies and these crazy things happening.
Very true. Very true. Like I said, this whole thing from that moment, from the day that they swatted his home, kicked in his doors, his windows, destroyed the house to arrest him, which he would have went quietly if I would have called him and approached him or
Right.
whatever, but they did it that way to make a spectacle of it. Made a whole thing about flying him across the country to do this and the
Right.
things that he said, this and that. And every day thereafter on mainstream and social media, we watched nothing but negative Brian, negative Brian, negative Brian, negative Brian every day.
Yes, I do,
Like you
Brittany.
said.
Prosecutors.
Like yeah,
Well,
like
and
you said,
listen, how long ago did Bill say the PCA wasn't relevant?
that's been a while now.
A couple of years,
Yeah, probably a good year and a half at least.
right? What do you mean isn't relevant? Isn't
too.
this a document that you composed based on your investigation that alleges this man's the perpetrator? How could it not matter?
Yeah, the same man told us that follow the PCA and trust the process.
Nothing Dylan Mortensen said identifies Brian Koberger specifically.
No.
Nothing.
I was gonna say the only thing that she really said was he's 5'10" or taller, not whatever, but muscular built, and has bushy eyebrows.
And
And
that's
in my
millions
opinion,
of guys.
everything she said was something that was a lead statement from a detective that she was speaking to.
That
Yep.
describes me.
Yeah, it could. It could.
No, literally, I'm 5'10", 160 pounds.
There
I'm
you
not
go.
fat. I'm not muscular. I'm lean. Right, and I'm taller than her. She's 5'8". So I did it.
Definitely wasn't me 'cause I'm short shit. So.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's all she's given, and everything that was in that PCA statement that was stated by her supposedly was a lead statement from a detective she spoke to. She just agreed to it.
Probable cause should contain one item that, beyond a reasonable doubt, even if it's wrong, for instance, eyewitness statements that could be completely wrong, but are in the probable cause affidavit that people have sworn to, right? That gives you the likelihood that I was at that 7-Eleven that was robbed.
Right.
They identified a vehicle that I own, and they identified me, right? That a probable cause affidavit, you're taking away an American's freedom, his rights, and you're throwing him in a cage. That's an important process, and we've conditioned ourselves. We've been conditioned, and we go along with it. That it's like an indictment, a ham sandwich, and that is absolutely not how it's supposed to be.
Not at
And
all.
there's many cases that that doesn't happen, and they never get talked about. So you believe that they're allowed to do these things, and the bottom line is the Constitution says the government shall not cross these limits. And in fact, they did right in the beat. That's why I came into true crime. You know
Oh
that.
yeah.
David.
Yep.
You
That's what dragged him in here to my channel.
affidavit is a joke. I'd have laughed my way in cuffs to the prison, and I would have immediately demanded a hearing, a probable immediate. I wouldn't have backed off. There's no way, if you go in hindsight now, that they could have provided beyond a reasonable doubt evidence to a court to support probable cause.
Right. Right.
What
Thank
do they have?
you. Thank you, Moto Man, real quick for the super chat. Says they can indict a ham sandwich, but they still have to prove that the sandwich went back.
But the indictment carries so much weight with the jurors that you're building that perception and you're selling them a belief. That's the catch-22. When the standards aren't followed and you're teaching people to believe in data, not think it through, this process is just corrupt on its face. And it's not because they're trying to protect drug dealers. The entire process, state to state to the feds, is corrupt. It's systemic, just like Black Lives Matter was telling us. They got something right.
Yep. And that's true too, Denise. It wasn't the pictures. I think the detective described the mask to her and then she drew it.
He named the mask. What do you call it? A baklava or something?
Balaclava. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what happened. And so if you tell me what this is and then you describe it, then yeah, I'm gonna draw it for you. If that's what you want me to do. Sure.
And
no
the
problem.
time between him telling her that and drawing that gave her the chance to look up what the hell that was.
100%.
If she didn't already know, right?
100%. What's up, Willard?
What's
Good
up,
to see you.
people?
Good
Well,
to see
when did she draw? Well, when did she draw that?
Third interview?
I think it was the third interview. Yeah.
So they're calling them interviews, not.
That's what they were. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what they.
She was never
a foot rub.
So she was never a suspect ever.
Apparently not.
No,
Well-
because they let them just wander off into the crowd of their friends and go hang out with them all, and then send them off to the motel together that night, and didn't
Well,
separate anybody, didn't restrain anybody, didn't do anything with anybody. Just-
How do you buy a witness's statement if they change it the night you allow them to go stay together? Like, I don't.
there
Isn't
were
there some
4
kind of
interviews.
protocol?
There should be. There's supposed to be. Yeah. There were 4 interviews, Willie. The 4th interview is when everything got all crazy and goopy. Like I saw one eyebrow, and there's a vacuum cleaner here, and a fireman there, and all this other.
Do you think they were pressing her like, listen, you got to tell us something?
I would imagine.
I think she felt the pressure. I don't even think they would have to say them words, because I think she would have felt that pressure naturally from their question.
All that should be recorded and should be able to look over, correct?
Yeah, she has it all.
Good. Yeah.
So Anne could sit there. Okay.
I think within the interviews, after realizing how bad the scene was, the detectives are saying, look, we know you heard this and had to have heard that. Did you see this? Did you see that? Didn't you see this, Dylan? Didn't you see this guy? You know what I'm saying, Willie? That type of what I think happened.
But if you're treating somebody like a victim, you're not going to question them that in that manner.
No, especially if they're going to the extent of getting a latent shoe print for her to corroborate her story. I mean, they're trying to solidify that.
Does anybody know what direction that shoe print was in?
From my understanding, it was pointing towards her door.
So would the guy like dislocate his ankle? I mean, come on. Nobody walks like that, man. It just doesn't make any
He was
sense.
an acrobat, buddy. He was an acrobat.
Well,
none of it makes any sense, dude. None of it. What's up, Mr. Girl? Good to see you.
And we don't know that. Again, I said that footprint may be useless because it could have been dog urine, and it could have been there for a while.
Well, why is it invisible?
Well, because it was dog urine on a tannish or yellowish floor. So, if you track dog urine through a house, your footprints are going to get less and less, right? And if you're mopping the common areas, you're going to get rid of them. But something real close to a door you might miss. And they used amino black to find it, which only shows organic material, not blood. So the kind of testing that they did, and the fact that there was a dog in the home, I don't know that footprint's even relevant to the case, that it says anything at all. I was curious. Which
is another thing about the 911 call. You don't hear the dog at all.
Not at all.
You don't hear anything.
Not at all. Which with all them people in that house, that dog should have been barking his brains out if he was barking.
Or at least, crying because it, needs to take a piss or, like.
I'm going to say something whether people like it or not. In every interaction that Dylan had with the police, she incriminates herself.
That's very true. Hold on, guys. I guess
every action. Go ahead.
There's a mass shooting in Virginia. Is it active?
What?
What happened?
Virginia
Oh,
mass
no.
shooting. I think it's an active scene right now. Hold on 1 minute, guys.
Huh?
Mass shooting in Virginia. I'm trying to pull it up
What
right.
the fuck is wrong with this country?
Everything.
Everything, brother.
Those
Everything.
people that
Besides
bought the
everything.
Teslas, they bought Teslas to save the earth. They're turning on themselves.
People can't just chill, man.
No, everybody's
So-
angry.
I mean,
Hold
you're
on,
just
hold
tearing
on.
up a car of a guy that has the same philosophy as you. I don't understand.
Since he's been live, there's been fucking child abductions, mass shooting. I mean, for Christ's sakes.
It's like slapping your daughter for something the brother did. It's crazy.
All right, there's a seven people shot, armed suspect, Fredericksburg, Virginia, active. Wait a minute, I can't find anything else on it yet.
How about 45 dead in the nightclub that collapsed?
Yeah, I
See
know.
that?
Where'd
Yeah.
that at?
What?
I don't know,
Where?
but
When?
a Detroit MLB player was killed.
A baseball player from the Tigers. Yeah,
Wow.
I can't think of his
Yeah.
name.
45 killed. It's crazy.
It's horrible. It's
How the hell did that happen,
Oh.
dude?
there's so much negative shit.
They're trying to revitalize buildings that should be left
And
alone.
what about the
wow.
the kid that was stabbed at the track meet?
Yeah,
That's
right in the
another
heart.
one. Yeah, because he was not supposed to be under the tent on the football field, and the football
And they
player
asked him to move.
and he pulls a knife and stabs somebody in the chest.
That's why I stay inside today, bro.
That's the same here. That's why I said, what happened to people fighting? Like, if you're gonna get into an argument and fist
Oh, I
fight,
hate that about today. Everybody wants to pull out a gun and go to jail for the rest of their life.
That's what happens now. It's sad. It's very
Doesn't make
sad.
sense.
Well,
And
you
my
get
roommate
trained.
wonders why I feel unsafe when the maintenance guy is knocking on my door, but I don't know it because I'm in bed sleeping. And by the time I get out my bedroom door, he is in the house.
What?
This happened to me twice now, Willie.
I would have shot him.
So the maintenance guy, my roommate didn't tell me that the maintenance was coming. Okay.
Oh, she knew?
He put in a work order, but they forgot about it, and this was like 3 weeks ago, so he thought they forgot about it. Well, today they just decide to come, and I don't have the door chained. I just have it deadbolted, but I don't have it chained. And
Yeah.
I work at night, so I sleep a lot during the day. And I heard some knocking, but by the time I got like out my bedroom door, I turned and the guy was coming in the apartment. And I'm like, "Hello?"
What the hell?
And he's like, "Oh, I have work orders." And I'm like, and he's like, "I can come back." And I said, "Yes, please do."
You knock on the door?
He did, but I was in my bedroom. But I mean, what if I was in the shower?
Right.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, so now I'm just gonna have to. Now I told my roommate, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to start chaining the door every single time you're not here, because I don't feel safe here for the second time.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't like places like that where they have
And
like maintenance
they're
guys
like-
like that who have
And
master keys.
he goes, "JC, you just watch too much true crime." I said, "It has nothing to do with true crime." I said, it has to do with my safety. And the last time when my toilet broke, it had to do with my well-being.
And do you know
what
the
I mean?
turnaround on like, positions like that, these guys could, copy the master key and quit.
Do you know how many times or how many cases I know of security guards killing people in apartments?
Yeah.
And also my friend that I made in Nashville, her daughter got murdered in her apartment in Tulsa.
See? That's why I don't like
We used to have a landlord that would walk into our house because he said he owned it. He could anytime. And I got called at work one day, and my wife was taking a shower and came out, thank God, in a towel to walk across, and the dude standing in the kitchen staring, and she's like, excuse me? What the fuck are you doing in my house? You know what I mean? And like I said, nowadays, people own guns to protect themselves. So you can very easily, especially if it's dark or whatever, get yourself shot and killed by doing stuff like that. These people
I'm just glad that I'm moving back to a house in 2 weeks. Like, I have felt very unsafe here ever since January when the toilet guy was here.
You have a gun?
No, I do not.
I should get a gun.
Yeah, you might need to. Anyway,
I mean, not now that I'm moving to a house, but I mean, if I was going to be here permanently, well, first off, if I wouldn't be here permanently anyway, because this place is not nice, not up to my standards. But I mean, I
It's great.
just feel, yeah. I'm like, no, I don't think it has to do with me watching well, I might be hyper aware, but what's wrong with being hyper aware?
just raises your awareness. That's all.
It's your safety.
Yeah, and you have
It's
to
your
right
absolute
nowadays. You got to
safety.
be safe. That's right. I agree. Absolutely
Anyways, back
agree.
to back to the K bar.
It's okay. It's okay. So so what do you? If you're okay, you're okay. It's a world, guys. Like I said, there's a mass shooting right now in Virginia. 7 people shot. I have nothing else on it at this point, and I will give you updates if I get them. But I was going to ask, since you're up here now, Willie. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen tomorrow with?
I think
these
we're gonna.
news?
I think from this whole thing, we're just gonna learn. One question that we all have, which is, what direction is Hitler gonna go here? Is he gonna go straight biased, or is he gonna go?
Do you think he's gonna?
Is it his decision tomorrow?
I mean,
Supposed to be?
all these motions are, what to let in, what not to let in. I mean, these are going to be his decision. So, we're going to start seeing soon,
How this thing
where
is
he's
going to go.
going.
Do you think he's gonna address the affidavit from Cy?
Well, dude, there's so much there's so much misconduct he should address, and he should be laying into the prosecution, because God forbid it was Ann doing this. Holy hell. Just
He'd have tore her out
turning
already.
evidence over in droves without labeling what you're going to use. I mean, that is so. Ugh.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, if she would have done anything as to what prosecution's done already, she'd have been held in contempt and everything, in my opinion. But it is what it is.
Yeah, you see what I mean? So, I think we're gonna just kind of really see what he's about these next couple of days, and I
Well,
think, and like I said in the chat earlier, what experts does the state have?
no idea, bud. No idea.
See what I mean?
I don't think they have it. I'm sure they're gonna come with somebody at some point, but
yeah. And tomorrow we're
Give
gonna
us
hear Becca.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we got Bicca and we got Cy.
yeah,
And
she knows her DNA shit. Cy knows his phone shit. I mean, who is the state relying on here that is gonna show that what a jury needs to see? And they're not.
they better show it soon, because they're not allowed to throw surprises at anybody. They got to have something, in my opinion. But
Well, everybody keeps saying, wait till trial, wait till trial. They're gonna have the bombshell.
we're past that, dude. You know that already.
Listen, I mean,
there can't be any bombshells in trial, can there?
no,
At least not to them. I mean, there can be to us, right? The public, but not
I
to
don't know.
them.
Sarge, do you think if prosecution had anything big, we'd have seen it yet at this point? Or did he walk away for a minute?
I think he said, "I'll be right back."
Okay. Well, that's my opinion. Is I don't think that. I think if they're okay. For instance, the rumor about the video that Steve said that they have him on video at the house getting in and out of the car, whatever.
Mhm.
Honestly, God, you guys, if they had that, I swear we'd have seen that 2 years ago.
The defense would be arguing that shit. You know what I mean?
Right. So I don't think they got anything. I've heard how many people just wait till trial. They got much more.
That's all people have told me.
What more lies? They have more lies.
We've been waiting. We're waiting.
Yeah, it's been 3 years now, right?
There's
Almost.
nothing. I don't think they can come. They're building a physical circumstantial case. Oh, he bought a knife. Oh, he bought a mask. I mean, Brian Koberger, and Willie knows this, was a jogger. He ran at night. He ran in the cold or in the whatever. That mask, I've seen how many joggers wearing those masks in the wintertime. That doesn't mean he bought it to murder somebody. Okay.
He bought a mask 11 months ago.
Right.
He bought this before he even knew he was coming here. Like, come on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just to kind of play devil's advocate here.
I gotta step out for a second. Keep going, guys. I'll be right back.
Willie, and I definitely want to talk to you about this actually anyways. So they say that the phone pings 13 times before it happened, right?
Sure.
My and I know that you and I have, we go way back in this case, and
Absolutely.
one of the things that I was, when we were over at another channel and Riddler was talking, he said that
The Red Man.
he wants to be, he has to put him in the house to be able to convict this man.
Yeah.
I didn't think in the beginning that the 13 phone pings had shit to do with shit, okay? Because I'm
Mhm.
like, there's the possibility that my phone could ping 13 times in an area in that amount of time. That doesn't mean that I'm part of a, crime that happened. But how close do you know? Because I've been hearing that the phone was very close to their Wi Fi and it
Okay.
actually hit their Wi Fi. Can you explain this to me?
Okay. So that means that their Wi-Fi, right, would have to be open, and he would have had to either have already logged into their Wi-Fi beforehand, or they had no password on
No
their
password.
Wi-Fi to be able
And they
to.
could, and he could just piggyback off of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It, yeah.
So when they say that these 13 phone pings happened, how close were these pings to their house? Is my question. Were
Well,
they
here's my
300
problem with the
feet?
pings. Here's my problem with the pings. I think there's only like 2 towers, right? So it's not like you have 7 towers to triangulate, I believe, and then pinpoint location.
Yeah.
They're kind of just estimates, and just my opinion. This is just my opinion. Cy Ray, who has always his whole career, his whole life testified for prosecutions.
For prosecution. Mhm.
This is his first time in his whole life that he's putting his name on on the line here, basically, to
For the
defend
defense.
a quadruple homicide suspect. Think about that for a second. So that tells me that whatever data he has and he's conducted and, yada, 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 he knows for a fact Brian might have pinged over here, but, the prosecution can just say in this general area, and, a jury looking at a board will just see a circle and maybe, the King Road residents somewhat in that circle. That's a possibility. But to get an exact location, absolutely not. I don't think any of those pings. And if, in my opinion, that's stalking. If 13 times you can ping him in, say a 0.1 mile of that location, right? And you can kind of,
Mhm.
make a stalking claim. Bill Thompson flat out said we never said he was stalking. Like he
No.
made it known, like they
Right.
weren't claiming that.
Well, let me ask a question I was going to ask.
But
Well, let's
does Cy's statement basically confirm that these pings were not close enough to the house to put him there?
Yes, I told him flat out, like, all your data is wrong.
Yep.
So Cy
And
is
the
disproving the
information that they have that proves that the exculpatory stuff, JC, is what they're withholding. They omitted it on purpose. There's the
And
problem.
that's what's crazy to me is like this case isn't about, okay, here's all the evidence we collected. Here, take a look at this. And if you find exculpatory evidence, all right, the prosecution has to deal with it. They're like playing a game here where they're like, we're going to keep this from you. And the defense is like, we already know what you're keeping from us. Just give it to us.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and we're sitting here as the public, like, what the hell is going on? At least I am.
Yeah.
Because I can see right through this. Like, it's weird. And then you have MSM trying to, keep the narrative going, hanging on by a string with no evidence to report. I mean, what do they keep? They reported his damn selfie, for Christ's sakes.
what is that? I don't know what the picture has to do with the price of beans in China.
Nothing. They used that to try to say, look, he's got bushy eyebrows, and they're not even that bushy in that photograph. That's a joke.
Everything they're doing is trying to get people to believe a narrative, not based on fact. And that's why I keep harping these streams about that. It's got nothing to do with truth. It's about believe my story.
It's all propaganda to follow their narrative. End of story. That's all it is.
And everything.
So that's why the people that truly think he did it, I just ask them why. Why do you think what evidence is making you believe that Brian did this.
And it's the same answers. Well, his DNA is on the sheath.
Yeah,
Get
well,
rid of
so
the
is
word
somebody
believe,
else's
Willie.
blood.
That
Willie,
was somebody else's.
get rid
They
of the word
don't-
believe
they-
and ask them
they
to tell you
don't-
what makes them think that. What
They want to
thought do
leave
you
out
have
the
that they
part.
think-
They want to leave out the part that doesn't include Brian.
That's what I mean. They don't want to talk about, the unknown male blood here, the unknown male blood there, and everywhere. They're like, but his
the
DNA is here.
meant
Come on.
everything to them. Well, listen, the DNA was their whole case when it was mentioned early on,
Right.
Mhm.
and then when 7 other samples are mentioned, they don't have any interest in it.
Nothing. Right.
And
That's
that's
I'm
the
telling
because
you.
people listen. This is
Yeah.
a perfect example of belief over thinking. We
Yeah,
all
nobody-
have been trained to believe in information. I believe he's innocent. I believe he's guilty. I believe he did it. I don't care what you believe. Go believe in some God and don't talk to me about it. But leave that out of information. Leave that out of data. Don't
Yeah.
believe in anything.
They should have
Right.
cut their losses after they served their warrants, to be honest, especially on his car. After they searched the car, I would have been like, all right, let him out of jail, for Christ's sakes. Let's cut our
Well,
losses.
that's my question: is why is the man not out of jail yet?
Thank
because he
you.
has to go through the
Yeah.
process. They can't just.
You're
They
locked into
can't.
this system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're
And
locked
here's what,
in. You have to go through a
But at
process.
any
What
time,
Anthony
they could have
said
let him
is-
out and pursued, these other DNAs, right? Come on.
Well, Willie, they didn't even run him through CODIS, so why would they pursue it now?
Why not?
You know what I mean?
Because they found the
how many
guy.
cold cases have been solved 10, 20, 30 years later, for Christ's sakes?
They won't even look at another option. That's the
Well,
problem.
that's their own problem. Get the feds in there. So I don't know.
They're the ones that did it.
Well, I don't know, man. this is weird.
It doesn't make any sense. None.
Tell me another case you know where something like this ever happened.
Delphi.
Yeah, this
No,
happens
Where,
all the time. It's not murder.
they had blood. They had other blood DNA at the scene.
Nothing. They had nothing. They had a bullet.
Exactly.
And the
I'm
girls
talking
weren't
about
even shot.
I'm talking about having 3 blood DNA samples, 1 on the sheath, and they were like, we have Brian Koberger's name. That's why we didn't look into him. That's what that man said on the stand, Mr. Payne himself.
Yes,
Right.
he did. Yes, he did.
And
And
the
that's
Well,
Delphi case, that brass casing that they found, there's no evidence connecting that to the perp that they alleged, Allen,
no,
right?
there's nothing at all.
Huh.
And I watched today how they got him. If you watched the interrogation video yet,
I watched it twice. I watched it once. I watched it early with Jay, and then I watched it with you.
Go watch that, Willie. Go watch the interrogation.
How do you know I haven't seen it? You know I haven't seen
I
it.
was asking you if you've seen it because I got so pissed off watching that today. You could watch.
That's why that's why I haven't watched it, because I'm gonna get mad.
You
You know
will.
what I would do if I were Ann? I would get the people on the stand that actually examine the Elantra.
Yeah.
And the only question I would ask them is this. I'd ask them all their experience and all their history and say to them, if you swabbed an Elantra that was not part of the crime scene, would you expect to find anything different than you found in my client's car? You see how clever that question is?
Say it again.
If you swabbed and did a forensic evaluation of an Elantra that was not part of this crime, would you expect to find the same thing in that car that you found in Mr. Koberger's? The answer would be, yeah.
Right.
I found nothing.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
So, questions like that, the jury would be like, that makes sense. There was nothing in his car. And if they'd have swabbed the wrong car or a car that wasn't involved, they'd have found nothing as well. What does that mean?
Well, right.
Right?
I'd ask him, why is there 2 suspect vehicles?
Where's the other one?
Yeah,
Where's the second vehicle, you guys? Let's talk about have them present the second vehicle. They don't need to. They don't plan to. They don't want to.
That's fine with them. That's reasonable doubt if I'm a defense attorney.
Because there is a second vehicle. There truly is a second vehicle.
Like I said, I don't
I don't think there's any vehicle involved here, at least any of the vehicles that they're talking about. I honestly don't see a crime scene where forced entry was used on any door. All of them locked or lockable, and not one door was forced. There's no evidence of anybody coming in from the inside, from the outside in. None.
Ah, man, Brian did it. He pulled up right in front.
There was no forced entry. In my opinion, it was somebody that was either in the house or somebody that was welcomed into the house to be there.
Correct. That makes more sense.
That's what
That makes way more sense from my point of view when you look at the crime scene independently of the crime. And now ask yourself, why weren't any of those doors kicked in? Why wasn't there any mention of doors being forced? The only evidence of any violence or any force activity is the murders themselves.
Yeah.
Well, how did he get in those rooms?
Right.
It's
He
not, they're
broke.
locked.
He
We
was
know.
in. He went in before. Okay, this is what I think. I don't know what you guys think, but I've heard this theory, I guess, that there was somebody in the house before they arrived home. They could have been hiding in a closet or somewhere,
Yeah, that's possible.
waiting, or hiding somewhere. And the actual crime started internally, like inside the house, not outside.
I don't think the perpetrator ever left that property. That perpetrator was there before, during, and after they've admitted it. And everything that perpetrator said to the police is something a criminal would say to distance themselves from the crime. Every single thing she
I think
said,
stuff was originating inside the home.
including the 911 call where she says, well, there was this guy at 4:00 in the morning, where she immediately starts to build this separation between her and the crime.
And then they're screaming in the back, tell me saw somebody.
Yeah, I'm just saying, when you look at all of what Dylan did and look it through the eyes of, if you did something, what statements would you make that would be any different than hers? And I don't think you can come up with a different answer. I was drunk. I don't know. I was dreaming. I was confused. I was this. I was that. And the first thing she does on the 911 call, where 4 of her roommates are in serious trouble, is bring up that there was a guy here at 4:00 in the morning. For why bring that up at that point?
Tried to do it twice.
I still don't know if I want to completely put everything on Dylan, but I do think that her and Bethany, and maybe even Bethany, I think they definitely know way more than what they're saying.
Well, then why is it okay to put everything on Brian? My point is, it's not putting anything on him. I'm not accusing her of committing a crime, but I am saying her behavior is consistent with someone that did.
Right.
All of her statements and all of her actions, all of the delays, all of the text messages. There's 3 hours of text messages that are blank. They're not telling us what happened from 4:37 to 7:30. What did they do there?
And now
when did she stop being terrified? That's what I want to know.
Right. And then they also brought in an expert to break down the messages and calls between her and her father that were either.
Why did she accept what the policeman said? Why did she take everything the policeman did and incorporate it into her story of what she saw? If you saw nothing, you saw nothing.
That's it.
The only reason you would go along with the cop's suggestions is because you're still trying to distance yourself from the crime, either because you have knowledge of it, were a party to it, or the actual doer.
And Bethany,
frozen shock.
Bethany had supposed exculpatory evidence to exculpate Brian and blatantly refused to come back to Idaho, and then immediately, boom, we got a grand jury. I mean, no, something's not right. I'm just saying, it is absolutely
probably on her phone,
out of the park, crazy. And they're on social media, and they're taking pictures. I mean, come on, you guys.
Come on, bro.
And
well,
now
I'm just
the
saying,
PCA,
if you're gonna have
PCA said
circumstantial
that they were
evidence,
asleep, and that's a piece of junk now.
How about circumstantial evidence that actually places you at the crime? This is the point I've been trying to make, and why I keep bringing up Dylan. None of the circumstantial evidence places Brian in that home.
Nothing.
All the circumstantial evidence given to us by Dylan places her there. Yeah. Unquestionably, she was there when this happened. She was there before, she was there after, and she was part of the 911 call and discovery of the victims. That is consistent with somebody that was part of a crime. Every story she tells is bullshit.
The first 5 words that were stated was, something happened in my house and we don't know what.
No, didn't her roommate, the neighbor, say there was a man in their house last night?
She tried to twice and they wouldn't let her say it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because they told her to stay in the background. That's why the neighbor pauses, because either Bethany or Dylan's like, "Oh, tell me saw somebody." So
and there was a man in their house last night.
rather than getting help there to save their friends. It's crazy.
By the way, there was a man in their house at 4 a.m.
This is a simple observation. I don't know who committed this crime, and Dylan and Bethany and the whole world is innocent until proven guilty.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're going to build a circumstantial case, you have to place the perpetrator at the scene of the crime,
and they can't.
It's mandatory. And that's why they're doing all these Fruit Loop jumping through hoops and creating bonfires and distractions and he bought a K-bar when he lived in Pennsylvania.
What I would like them to do is do a lineup and have Dylan point out.
She's already stated she couldn't.
They already tried, and she said she didn't recognize him.
Oh my Lord!
And that's my Lord! All they're doing, you guys, is they're saying, well, we don't have this, but look at this, but we don't have that, but look at this, but we don't have that, but look at this.
Right.
All right,
Well, they're
so
not telling you what they don't have. They're leaving that out. But my point is, folks,
Right.
if you want to be fair-minded and think about
know
what's
what they
been
don't
shared with us, and you think about that in the context of innocent until proven guilty, you look at what you know that you can prove, and you can prove Dylan and Bethany were in that home that night. They themselves tell you that.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you that one hurdle is accomplished. Now your past presence of and during the commission of a crime, they were there. So that hurdle is no longer a hurdle. That's a straight path. Now look at what was said in their behavior after
Yeah.
and during and after and all the way up till the next day. That behavior is very suspicious.
Yes.
And it does not, to me, it paints a circumstantial set of statements that allow me to say these people should be suspects.
Agreed.
Unquestionably.
Agreed.
And
And
they've
like-
never been treated as such.
Well, and again, Willie has stated it, and then I followed right behind him, stated it. If it would have been him or I in that house that night,
Oh, you guys would be in jail.
we'd
I'm
have been
screwed.
under the jail. We'd have probably been already convicted of something, okay? But it wasn't.
Especially if we're taking pictures and contacting people and summoning people over. Oh my God.
Right.
What if those pictures show any of the victims?
That's
Now
what I'm
what?
asking. That's 100%
Yeah.
what I want to know. Were they deleted? Is that why they brought the expert in to try to recover all this stuff? Is that a possibility? Look, Dad, this is what went on. It's horrible, but here it is. And now they don't have that. I mean, these are stupid things to say. I'm reaching. I understand, but what else is there?
Yeah, but the
Tom,
defense is interested in Dylan and her dad's texts and calls and shit for a reason. So I'm very interested in that.
Tomboy said there's a difference between circumstantial evidence and lies, and really there isn't. A
Well,
lie can be one and the same to build a circumstantial case.
but true. That's true. Yes.
Right? There is no
I can
difference, right?
My
And
own
there is
and my
sometimes a difference,
biggest
but not always.
question, my biggest question, and Willie, I think it's a big question for you too, is on the 911 call. Why was there? They there's no way that the girls could have been around the bodies, because I'm sorry, why was there no mention of blood everywhere?
Nobody said a damn word about blood,
That is crazy to me.
right?
That is bizarre.
And then,
Like, I
who
would be
was
like,
close enough?
I would be
Well, who was close
almost,
enough to see she wasn't breathing
yeah.
and not standing in a pool of blood?
And she's
Like, how do you
passed. She's passed out. She's not waking up.
how do you
How do you, if
how
you're
do you
not,
get that
how do you
determination
get
from
close
seeing?
enough to wiggle her to, because if she's
No, I
passed
don't
out, you
think-
got to get close enough to wiggle somebody. You can't just be like, hey, like,
Or
go
see it.
wiggle them, go
see it.
wiggle them, or see it.
Mhm.
Not
They
only
didn't
that,
know
Dylan does not mention the other roommates in that 911 call. She concentrates on Zaina. And the problem with that is she knew that Zaina and Ethan were home that night. She testified. She makes that statement. She told the world that she was aware of this. That's what I keep saying. If you really look at the facts of the case and become a thinker, you're never going to get your head out of the Dylan points. I'm not saying she did anything, but what she did is so egregious and so telling that
Yes.
you have to include her as the primary suspect.
I mean, it does make perfect sense. It really does.
Unless
I mean,
you're
how is nobody mentioning poor Ethan?
That he's not mentioned once, which blew my mind. That's something else.
We have a passed out roommate. How old is she? 20? Well, she's in the same room as her deceased boyfriend.
Nobody says his name other than in the background when you hear them
or
saying it.
maybe he wasn't visible from where she was at.
The door's open.
But
It's
why
open.
wouldn't you
The
go-
room is like a prison cell, right? I mean, come
at
on,
some
Willie.
point, at
10
some
by
point
10?
in that.
We don't know where they were, to be honest.
Well, let me say this too, not to mention when I got that 911 call from Channel 4, okay, I played it for everybody in here live. The whole thing beginning to end, okay? It came from that news station. They put it out. We played it. We listened to it. And then I heard another one. And there's things in the other one that I heard once it was slowed down and cleaned up a little bit
Enhanced.
that were not there in that call that I heard from Channel 4 about trying to remove the screen and looking in the window, and somebody says, no, don't do that. And then they go back in, and then you hear other things. Did they not put out the real call, or did they alter it to an extent so that you don't hear certain things? Because if that's the case, that's more bullshit.
I'm thinking after hearing Jeff's enhancement, absolutely.
Oh, there's one even better than that one, JC. That
Why?
Jeff,
What did the enhancement have that we didn't get off the normal call?
you don't hear them saying that he's trying to take the screen off. I think they went up the ladder on the outside to go through the Jana's window, and you hear him say about trying to take the screen off, and one of them goes, "No, don't do
No,
that."
don't do that.
Yeah, and that wasn't on the original call.
Well,
So
why?
now
And
we
the
know.
other
Now
one
we
I-
know. Wait.
and-
Let's back up. Now we know the ladder was moved by the people at the scene.
Well, I think it was there the whole time. They just used it at that time. I think
It
that's
was laying on its side next to the house.
Well, then they used it then, I guess. But the point is that wasn't in the 911 call that were sent out for everybody to hear. And it's why was that altered? What is the difference? Why don't you want us to hear those little things in the background? You hear the girls whispering.
And then remember, we thought we heard Xana's dead.
Yeah, it does sound like in the background you can hear him say she's dead or Xana's dead. That didn't come out in the 911 call that I got from Channel 4.
Yeah,
Right.
and why is it that we can hear whispers, but we can't hear an officer, come up and introduce himself, clear the scene, any of that shit?
And I
She's
still
just
have
like, oh yeah, there's a cop here now.
And before that,
Well,
you
their
hear
body
radio
cam
traffic.
should be admissible.
Yes,
There should be something
Yes.
connected to a body cam and how they
There
dealt
should
with
be
that.
dash cam and
And
body cam, just like
also, the one that
everywhere
I
else.
feel, the one that I feel the most bad for is Hunter Johnson, and the whole thing.
Oh, for
Why?
having to
I think
go in
I
and do.
I
because
think I feel the worst for Hunter Johnson out of everything.
Well, let's wait and see what happens with this and with the witness testimony from those situations before I'm not saying.
I mean, so far, I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand completely. The whole thing though, you guys, I've like Willie said earlier, I've never seen anything like this before, and I really don't understand. Granted, shit happens, but this is insane. Okay, to go to the extent that this has gone to the lies, blatant lies. Okay, misrepresentations, things being changed, things being excluded, things being omitted. Like, why? What is the point behind the whole thing? Is what I want to know.
And disclaimer: we are not victim shaming.
No, we're asking questions, which we have every right to do.
That's what I mean. These guilters want me to distort, my common sense and just be like, oh, okay, so I'm just gonna pretend that this, doesn't exist, and
You're asking questions about a situation that has been presented to us. They gave us this. They told us about this, and then they don't want you to say anything about what you see. I'm sorry.
I think within a lot of the unknown information, you may find why, and that could be exactly the reason why you're not getting all of this other. They're trying to exclude so much of this information because even when you get back to the Kennedy assassination, it's all about who and how, but never why. They expect the who and how to lead you to the conclusion. It was the mob. It was this. It was that. But my understanding from my research, it was none of that. And here we are again in another big case, and it's all about who did it and how. And what about the why? Where's the motive for this gentleman to just
Well, that's just what I was gonna say. And the other thing is there's no we don't know a motive.
We don't know why this happened. No,
that's the other thing that has always bothered me is the motive that was put out when everybody said finally, okay, Brian did it. Why?
Because he's an incel.
He was jealous of their situation. Well, Steve said because he was jealous of their relationship. He doesn't know them, so
he didn't even know they existed on this earth.
Right. Thank you. So that doesn't make sense. I mean,
and then he goes from one state to another.
Disclaimer: we're not victim shaming.
And then picks a house that has a light. Like people are awake in a damn house. He doesn't pick a house out in the country, I don't know, in the middle of nowhere.
This isn't a single family home that he's picking.
No,
that's what I'm saying. He sees 5 cars in the drive. Like it just doesn't. It all doesn't jive.
They also want you to believe. They want us to believe that he premeditated this and bought a knife 8 months before and a mask 10 months before, and with no victims in mind, and just came here and said, "Okay, I'm going to do it, and this is who I'm doing it to."
That's wild.
That doesn't make sense either, folks. I'm sorry.
He's from the other side of the country. Like, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'm just saying, like, he was only there for since June or
What?
July.
And then
Fun.
he knows there's a bolo out in his car, and he drives it across the damn United States. Gets pulled over twice, goes home, celebrates Christmas. I mean, this is a movie.
Well, they were nice enough to let him celebrate Christmas with his family first.
Yeah.
And then people that think that he got
Well,
pulled
that's
over
not
with a
entirely
shit
true.
ton of
They
evidence
put
in his car. Like,
They put a camera in his parents' yard on Christmas Day, so they didn't
They
even
sure
give him that decency.
No, they didn't. It's insane, every bit of it. And not to mention, because I'm sure they're going to try to discount this too. The man was born with a disease that limits his agility, his speed, his actionable reaction to things. The dyspraxia is
And his
something,
strength.
and his strength, all of that, guys. It wasn't invented before he committed the crime the day of or the week of. He was born with it, and it carried through his whole life. So
Nope.
add that to the mix too.
You know
okay?
how much strength it would take to do that to 4 people?
He stabbed one person 54 times.
I
That's
know,
just
right?
one.
and not
Yeah.
got anything on you. You get nothing on you.
Makes no sense.
No, they never
Track
had anything
nothing
on that
with you.
gentleman from the start.
There's no
They should have
connection.
they should have not even pursued this into a prosecution, even an arrest.
No.
Because even identifying the DNA as the transfer DNA, even putting an identity to that doesn't close the loop of involvement.
Nope.
It just doesn't.
No.
It didn't for the other people. As a matter of fact, the other people's DNA was just not even significant enough to want to get an identity on.
Right.
That's a problem. That's an unsurmountable problem. What would drive
huge
law
problem.
enforcement to do that if not for tunnel vision corruption?
It's the most reasonable doubt I've ever seen in my life.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But we're supposed to be quiet and go, okay, that he did it. I'm
like
good. You're
like
right.
good little boys. Don't say nothing.
Yeah, good little
Don't
boys and girls.
question.
Just take it for what it is and leave it alone. Be quiet. And fuck that. Sorry for language, but it's just I'm
Don't
sick of seeing
question the
it.
blue.
It's a tragedy how this was carried. And this is happening all over the country. And more issues than murder is the one that's obvious. We all get to hear that. But what about a guy that's accused of drunk driving that wasn't drunk?
Yeah. What about the ones
happens
that
too.
aren't viral?
It's just we
And
live.
what
Look
about
at there
the
was
girl in
a
North Dakota that was just happened in 2007? She was arrested in 2022 finally, and then finally went to trial and was just found not guilty. But she
Right.
spent 2 years in jail because she was it. And then come to find out, the jury found her not guilty because there was more than one source of DNA at the scene.
and in a part of my state, one of the chief prosecutors was just pulled over for speeding, and her attitude was that of somebody that was above it all. What are you pulling me over for? I had my lights on and I hit my siren. I didn't see you, but you didn't stop. You kept driving. And I didn't see you, and why are you following me?
I
And this,
heard.
I mean,
I
and look
saw
at this
this
is
one. I saw all
this is
about
my
that.
example, and this happens all the time when these big wigs get pulled over or caught committing a crime. They want to treat the officer. They put on that persona of I'm judge, jury, and executioner. All of these people are trained to look at the world that way. That's our biggest series of corruption across the nation. I'm judge, jury, and executioner. Don't you challenge me. Don't you question me. And they then protect each other. They make decisions because they are protected by laws. A cop can make the assumption that it was Brian, but that assumption is an assumption, and it must be proven to be a fact before you just put it in a PCA. He did, and nobody's questioned him. His coworkers shouldn't have allowed that. The judge shouldn't have allowed that. These people live in a bubble, and we are not in that bubble. We're the citizens. They're judge, jury, and executioner. They're in a group. Now, not all law enforcement is that way, not all prosecution, but so many are that they outweigh the honest, fair people. Or maybe they don't, and all we hear about are these criminals or these goofs or these people that think that they're above us, and they're just not.
Right.
Willie, I have a question. Did you
Nope.
know that Brian went to WSU when this all happened?
No.
So
Wait.
what was your
What did you say again? What was the question?
if Willie knew that Brian went to WSU when this happened?
No,
mean-
I don't know where the hell he was.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
what was your reaction when you heard this?
I was like, shit, he snapped, he snapped on these people. I was like, but obviously in my head, he knew him, in some kind of way, shape, or form, and didn't do this in a way that because they came out and said everybody was sleeping. So in my head, I'm like, all right, he went in and did it all when everybody was sleeping, and I'm trying to make it make sense because MSM comes out right away, but then when the PCA came out, I was like, oh hell no, there's no way. And from that day, I've just been waiting for the state to come out with anything to show me
that he did it
yeah, and they haven't came out with shit
yet. And we're supposed to wait.
What do you mean? Yeah, I mean,
wait. And wait.
they had
It's
a
not
deadline.
going to happen.
I guess deadlines don't matter.
That's what they keep saying. Is it's coming? It's coming.
I don't believe it.
Either, but that's what they say. They say wait till trial. They've got more.
Again, anybody can snap, but when it came out that he didn't even know these people, there's no connection, there's no motive, there's nothing, and then their little story they told about this car that did this and that. They don't even have the license plate number. It's all the timeline, the witness. It's just.
I also think that this makes the Linda Lane footage just a waste of time. Am I not correct?
I mean, it showed. I mean, if I'm
in how many hours?
Okay, I would use
the Linda Lane in July of 23. Dago, you're muted.
You're muted.
One at a time. I can't hear any of you. So hold on 1 second.
Sorry.
I said in July of 2023 that was the biggest waste of time that was going to befall this community, and everybody ran with it. That stupid Linda Lane video.
Yeah.
So the Linda Lane footage is 5 hours long, I believe, because it's from like midnight to 5 a.m. or something like that. And I probably watched the Linda Lane footage like 4 or 5 times.
3 days. I spent 3 days on it, and it was garbage.
Yeah. And now it's just, I mean, it was garbage anyways, but because it didn't actually show anybody or any. I mean, it showed some cars coming and going, but like we can't identify it as as an Elantra and like all that stuff.
Can you imagine if
now
every intern wore a blue dress during the time of Bill Clinton, what kind of a mess that would have been?
Yeah,
all them girls would have been accused of something.
All of them would have been Monica.
Yeah. And this is what I mean by people not thinking anymore. That Linda Lane video was a joke.
It was a mess. It was, in my opinion.
I did like that Get a Clues analysis of it. But again, none of that footage can identify who owns that car. Whose car is it? That's the answer we need, right?
I mean, I started watching it because I wanted to know if there was something in it that I
did. You know what I mean? Realized it was nothing. It was a nothing burger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just sent. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. Somebody just sent me something that states notice of filing declaration, support of defendant's objection to the state's motion, eliminating admissibility of the demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support. Okay, so based on one of the documents that was dropped, I do believe it stated that there is a forensic scientist that comes forward in one of these new docs supposedly and states that there's proof that it was not a K-bar knife.
What?
Now what?
I'm
Mic
just
drop.
Where is this coming from?
I guess it's the document that Bicca put out.
Dicka, who's Dicka?
Bicca. Bicca Barlow, one of the experts for the defense.
She's a beast.
I'm gonna play this just to see what this says. It said, and she's showing the document, notice of filing declaration in support of defendant's objection to the state's motion in limine, the admissibility of demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support. I don't know what this is. It was just sent to me, and it states that the creator that put it out states that proof that it was not a K-bar, forensic scientist comes forward with a new doc in the new doc. So
what is the number on the doc? Is there what is the identification of the document? Because I've got Idaho thing open right here.
Yeah, I'll show you right now, Sarge.
Open it myself.
Hold on.
Because there are 2 new orders from the.
Because
they're not the new ones. This is from. It doesn't have the date.
Oh, that's Nikki.
She got the shit printed out.
So hold that there. What does it say? Case number. Filing declaration.
I learned
All
how to look up documents, you guys. So I'm
So
gonna
go
be
ahead. Why don't you roll the tape?
Roll
No,
it.
I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what this says. So, all right, here we go. Roll that beautiful bean foot.
Neuro Nugget of the day. Please go watch that because there may be some new insights into Hudson Lindo and Hannah Clear and Kaylee and Ethan.
Big, I'm gonna pop down around 8, bud. All right.
What'd you say, brother?
So I'm gonna pop down around 8 while this is playing. I appreciate you having me up. I'm
No,
talking to everybody.
every time, buddy. Thank you for joining us. I always appreciate you. I'm gonna be live tomorrow. At 9 a.m. their time. It'll be 11 o'clock my time to run the hearing if you're around. Okay.
All right. Yeah. I'll come by and say hi.
Okay.
All right, bud.
Thanks
See
again.
you, everybody.
Very interesting.
Have a
right?
good night, Willie.
We're going to be talking about, is this proof, guys? Is this proof that no effing K-bar was even utilized at 1122 King Road? Because I found the entire resume of this forensic scientist that is going to be at the court, right? I have his declaration, 4 pages. I literally printed him out, and I have his 19-page curriculum vitae, his resume, 19 pages. Why in the world do we have a man who has a 19-page resume about crime scene reconstruction specifying in firearms? Why? Do you guys remember when the crime first took place 2.5 years ago almost? Do you remember what the Gonsalves family said to the news? That at first they had thought that this was a shooting. And now, 2.5 years later, we have a forensic scientist who specializes in firearms. What the actual fuck is going on? So I'm going to go through his resume and then I will go through the notice of filing, right? So
Go to the notice of filing, Dago, instead of putting through 19 pages of, he's qualified. We can
No,
accept.
I'm jumping forward. I get the qualification thing. I don't need to hear that. So hold on.
Yeah. Let's skip that for now.
What's the name of this document, Dago?
Shit. Hold on. That's a lot. Give me a second. Let me get back to it again real quick here, and then I'll get forward to where they start getting into that. Hold on.
Or what's the date? What's the date of it?
There isn't one. I can't see it. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Come on. Throw it up there again. That's not it.
In the beginning, go back all the way. Yep. Go forward just a little bit now, and you'll see it. She'll hold it up.
Yep.
Just scroll. She'll show it. Here she comes. There it is. All right. Right there.
Nope. That's not the one. That's the other one. She comes. Hold on. I know where it's at now. That's the document she shows about the how many qualifications in the very beginning. It's coming up here. Don't worry. Here it comes. Nope. That's the same one. Give me a second. I'll show you, JC. I had it. Come on, get it up there. Jesus.
I think she's now starting to review.
Where the hell did it? Oh, maybe it's right before that. Somebody in. It was. No, those are his qualifications still. Jesus. 1 second. It was right there. How did I lose the thing? Yep, it's qualifications. Give me a second. I'm looking.
So now they're saying that it's not even the correct weapon?
Very possibly. Hold on.
Oh my lord.
Notice of
This is
filing, right? So this is the
Hold on.
notice of filing.
All right, there it is. It's the notice of filing declaration in support of the defendant's objection to the state's motion in limine. Admissibility of demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support.
what's the date of it?
It
You
doesn't
know,
show. It doesn't show
it doesn't show the date.
No.
Oh gosh.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Sorry. All right,
It's okay.
Let me get to this other portion here.
Yeah, get to the portion where it becomes somewhat relevant.
The underproduced data from the second set of 3D scans to build, but the data had not been. That makes us, it should, since page CV. My total experience in this declaration is true and correct to my best of knowledge. My name is
All right, here we go.
Matthew Nodal. I'm over age 18. I'm a forensic scientist with degrees in microbiology, medical technology, and forensic scientist, certification in firearms, tool marks, gunshot residue, and laser scanning. My total experience includes over forensic science as outlined in the attached 19-page CV. I have been retained that I have theorized in the past, what if there was a firearm used?
What if?
Whether it was used directly or whether it was used to scare the people living at 1122 King Road. And since Matthew Nodal here, this forensic scientist, is also a specialist in blood splatter analysis, I'm going to be very interested to see what he has to say. Because what we have seen until now is that the detectives from Moscow Police Department are fucking stupid idiots. That is what we have seen. And we also understand that they have minimal detective training, and that makes us, it should make us all wonder if they got the blood splatter analysis right. And my train of thought at this very current moment is that they probably fudged that up too. Otherwise, why is Ann Taylor trying to retain this man with gunshot residue and firearm experience? 38 years of experience, by the way. That's a long time. During the course of my work, I've had the opportunity to observe the scene. I conducted a 3D scan of the scene and depicted the way you're going to be able to troubleshoot that scene into scale manner. I'm aware that the state has conducted at least one set of scans, and a report that indicated a second set of 3D scans was acquired, but the data had not been produced until recently. Prior to March 14, 2025, I've been provided with only the early scan data that depicts 2 rooms in the house. So it sounds like the state has been holding out. We already knew that, right? Us objective individuals already knew that. But here he's openly saying, yeah, they've had scans of the home since November 1, 2023. But here I am just getting them now. March 14, 2025. What the fuck? Trashley Jennings. What the fuck, Bill Thompson? Recently, I was made aware that the state had intended to use the underproduced data from the second set of 3D scans to build a replica model of the residence. So they were just gonna use some shitty, unproduced data to make a scam. That's what it sounds like. He says, I've only recently been provided with scan data and have not seen the final product, model, or other data the builders of the model intend to rely upon. I have not been provided with the details as to how the data from the 3D scans will be incorporated into a model. So he doesn't know anything, right? Oh my God, dinner is ready. Just ignore that. I have concerns about any replica utilized for trial that has not been verified as to scale. Given the unique layout of the house, any misrepresentation of where a wall is or where a door was located or what the actual line of sight will be will be misleading and could cause a jury to place significance on something that is not accurate. So what is this guy with 38 years experience telling us? He's telling us, y'all better watch the fuck out, because the state is trying to misrepresent what the house looks like, what took place in that house, and that's gonna fuck the jury up. They're gonna.
Okay, so if this is true, this is the second version of misrepresentation that the state is being accused of at this point. Okay. Or the third, maybe second or third, but this is another variation of prosecutorial misconduct, misrepresentation to the court. And just real quick there, I'm saying that.
Be like, they're going to work, the jury is going to work off what they're given. And if the state is giving a fucked up model, is that why they all wanted to tear the house down? I'm just wondering.
The specialist that this girl,
because they should have left it up, right? I've said this before.
A 3D
the house
specialist.
should have been left up, even if it was for acoustics alone, because Dylan has said, I didn't hear anything. Oh my God, I barely heard something. Not really. I mean, the criminal, the masked man, was an arm's length away from me, but I didn't hear anything. But everybody that's been interviewed that lived in that house has said what? You could hear everything. You could hear what was going on the third floor, even if you were down on the first floor. The house should have been kept up for acoustics alone. And also why? Because now this forensic scientist is telling us the state is trying to fuck shit up for the jury.
Okay, hold on a minute, guys. There's something else I have to grab here real quick. Give me a quick second.
The specialist that this girl is talking about is a 3D specialist. He's brought in because the state wants to do the dollhouse, and he says you can't because the measurements aren't accurate. This has nothing to do with a gun or anything.
I don't know how else to get through some people.
Okay, so she's talking about the 3D, the dollhouse situation and so on and so forth. So this doesn't seem to have anything to do with the K-bar.
Yeah.
So at that point, thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it, but it doesn't fit. But still, I don't know. Some people put things up for whatever reasons, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is. But I mean, there's a lot of, I guess you could call, misrepresentation that the prosecution has put out. If it's okay, Leslie. If that's the case, if that were to come out, what she stated in there's another issue there too. So I'm just stating.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. So maybe she misread something, maybe not. I don't know. It happens, guys. There's a lot of crazy shit that's being flopped around through this case anyway. Let me see here. Yeah, LR said, but she's got the best hair. Okay, she's got good hair, I guess. And she's obviously better looking than me, somebody said, and that's okay. I'll take it. It's not hard to look better than me, guys. I promise you, it's not. So
She didn't sound too smart, though.
I mean, if that's how she's reading that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. People put things on their titles and it grabs people's attention. Things happen. You just got to look into it before you jump into it. You look into it before you jump into it. That's all I'm saying.
That's why I don't listen to her anymore.
I
used to listen to her. Yeah. I used to listen to her, but she comes up with. She's a theorizer. She'll theorize the what if. I call her the what if girl.
Yes, I remember.
And I'm thinking about other what ifs when I'm looking at her.
Yeah. I remember you talking about her, Sarge, back in the day. So yes.
What's her name?
Nika's Neuro Nuggets.
Okay.
Neuro. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, moving forward. So at this point, guys, we've been here almost 3 hours anyway. I just kind of wanted to see where everybody's thoughts were as compared, well, in relation to tomorrow and Thursday. Pre-hearing, I always like to talk about this. Every time we've ever had a hearing, I try to talk about it beforehand. I'm really curious, mostly, to see if the affidavit is addressed. That's my biggest curiosity at this point. And if it isn't, I think it's going to be quite interesting how everything unfolds at that point. It's okay, Leslie. You don't have to apologize. You're good. So I don't know at this point because it's about, like I said, about 3 hours, probably long enough. JC, I'll go with you first. What are your thoughts about tomorrow, possibly, and or after?
I just really hope that he allows it. I
What?
really, really do.
So let's say he addresses it. He approaches it. What do you think should happen at that point to go forward? We obviously know they can't just cut Brian loose and say case closed, blah blah blah. That's not going to
What
happen.
motion are you talking about? The Ray motion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be addressed.
It definitely needs to be.
He should, I think, but
I
what
don't
do you
think that that motion is as devastating as people make it out to be. In all fairness, he's making arguments of his opinion versus their opinion, and he's making correlations between information that they're saying that the GLC, whatever that thing is, this is the one we're going off from.
The GLDC, right?
Right. So, was there earlier documents? There weren't, but we all know and acknowledge that, in fact, it was through the FBI that was information was given to them. So, in the law, you've always got to, it's always the splitting a hair. You got to split the hair, right? And
Right.
you can legally split the hair and depend on FBI information that isn't part of your case.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yep.
So we'll see how this, if this is as devastating. Like I don't agree with the lawyer. That this could be a case ending situation. I don't believe that at all. But I don't think that. I screw believing. I just don't think it is.
Hold on one moment. One moment. I'm gonna say this just one time, and that's all I'm gonna say. Anybody in here, please do nothing but respect my moderators. They do an amazing job. They will not bother with you unless they think they need to. So do not disrespect the moderators or you won't be in here. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Well, I'm curious to see how that plays out and how Judge Hippler rides the lightning.
Mm-hmm. Because I think, oh God, and I'll say this much: if he doesn't address it in a specific period of time or a certain way, the internet's going to implode. I'll say that much. That's one thing I will say. But I just wonder if he's going to say anything about it at all tomorrow. Truly.
Well, they've discounted the use of the PCA. They've totally turned their back on that, right?
Right. Yes.
They've turned their back on the IGG, and now they're going to turn their back on these phone records, right? And in none of those situations would you suspect that would be allowed.
Absolutely not. The timing advanced data from AT&T is probably a really important part of this case. So if they're going to play with that, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. So, he's got his rulings are his rulings. I think that it's a shame that Judge didn't put that one-on-one between him and Brian.
Agreed.
Back in the day.
Agreed.
And, I also think it's a sad thing that it's actually moved out of Judge's court. I think that's more troublesome than it would have been worth to stay there.
Well, I think, yeah. At this point now, I see who Hippler has presented himself to be at this point, based on the way that he approaches Anne and the way he talks down to her, and he seems to be bothered. He didn't want the case, guys. He's made that known. Before anybody leaves, by the way, I'll let you guys know I will be here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time. I'll be going live. It's for everybody else. It's 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be here live with the hearing from beginning to end. And I'll discuss it afterwards. So anybody interested in following with us, jump on in. Anyway, but yeah,
I'll try to be up by then.
No worries. You can come in whenever. But I will be here live with it from beginning to end, like I said. So, and it is 10:30. It starts at 9 a.m. Central Time. It is my time, which is Eastern Standard. It would be 11 a.m. and I'll be here earlier than that, setting up and getting everybody ready to go. So anyway.
I think she should have waited till jury selection to ask for a change of venue. That's my opinion. It doesn't mean that she did anything right or wrong, but I think she would have been better off with these motions in limine and the motions to suppress, and the Franks should have been better off in judge's court because some of those motions were tied to statements and acts that the prosecution did that Judge was aware of and Hippler wasn't. He didn't sit here and watch those hearings like we did. right?
That's true. Very true.
So there's
Very
no
true.
way Hitler's trying to be brought up to speed. He's coming in basically on the ass end of something.
Right.
And
Agreed.
I think that these she fought for this change of venue, and I almost wish she didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and here's my thing. I mean, do you think that if they were to address this and look into it, they find that it's prosecutorial misconduct or whatever, they find it valid, he finds it valid, do you think they should revisit the Franks hearing? Do you think that would be a good idea?
On this particular issue, possibly. On this particular issue, possibly. Or he may just listen, if it's an issue of consequence, he may just tell the defense that I don't know, or the prosecution that they can't even bring any of this evidence forward.
See, that's what I wondered too, Sarge, if that would be a possibility. Very curious. That you answered one of my other questions.
So it's possible evidence can be disqualified. You don't need a Franks hearing for it. It could be simple. The judge can simply say, on the record shows, lottie, right?
Yeah.
And his ruling will be based on the record.
Absolutely.
Or he may just ignore it and say they'll hash it out at trial.
I think a lot of people think he's going to. I'm one of them, but
I suspect so too.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's going to completely ignore the situation and say it's irrelevant at this point and move forward. That's my thought, but I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. I thought in the beginning that Hitler was going to be a decent judge because I thought he was going to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
It changed. It definitely changed. And
I don't know that he's not being fair based on what he's been exposed to.
Well, maybe that's a better answer. That's a better way to put it, possibly.
Right? I mean, he knows what he knows, but does he know the things that we know? Does he know all the hearings and all the intricacies? I would say, based on Payne's statement, that no image can you identify Brian Koberger or that as Brian Koberger's car, means that no images should be admitted.
Right.
Do you follow me? And Judge knows that hearing. He could go back and reference the statement of Officer Payne. And so if Officer Payne has admitted that none of those images confirm Koberger or his car, then why are they part of your case?
Very good point.
The cow jumped over the moon. I don't want to talk about that horse at the end of the fence.
Right.
And so this is why I say that is Judge Hitler being unfair? I'm not sure that it's really the right point of view to take. It's more so, is he being fair with what little he's been exposed to and what little he knows?
Well, but
there may be a yes,
Yes, I will say this though. It seems like he has shut her down in some instances before even allowing her to express certain things. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But remember, everything in front of him, the other judge let come through. And I think some of these issues, like the Franks hearing, and the arguments of Limine and the arguments of all of them, it would have been better served. I believe this. I think this. I really deeply think that we would have been better off if it stayed in front of Judge, because the point I just made about the car, if that car can't be conclusively identified to belong to Brian Koberger, then I don't want to hear it.
Agreed.
Your own police, your own chief investigator stated such. So we shouldn't be arguing about images at this point.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. It definitely makes sense. Well, I'm definitely interested to see what happens tomorrow. Like I said, it's Mountain Time, by the way, guys, not Central. My apologies. 9 a.m. Mountain Time would be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be here at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. It's preloaded and everything. So I'd love to see you guys here as well. I have the new link. He's not using YouTube anymore. It goes through the court systems in Ada County now. So that's where we're going. And thank you to the Blue Crew for putting that together for me as well, because I had no clue where to go, and they found it because they're amazing. And I think it's going to be an interesting hearing and a big day, and I'm definitely interested to see what goes on. I'd love to see you guys. Like I said, Sarge, thank you for joining me as always. I appreciate
thanks for letting me up. I appreciate
your insight. Are you going live tonight, Sarge?
No, I don't think so. I think I've had enough. No.
That's okay. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, sir. And you're welcome to drop by tomorrow and join us if you're interested. Like I said, I'll be here. So, JC.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Always
Have a good night, Sarge.
All right, JC. Thank you. I always enjoy having you here. I always love listening to what you have to say and your input
Yep.
as well. It's always amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. You have a wonderful rest of your night, and we will see you in the morning.
You too. Bye bye.
All right. Bye-bye. And everybody else in chat, guys, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. I loved everybody's insight. Tried to keep up with the chat. I'm sorry if I missed some comments. It was moving really quick at first for a while, guys. So my apologies if I did. I was not ignoring you. I promise you. I was trying to catch up. And I wants the jury to make decision, not him. He won't dismiss the case. That's a good point. It's a good point. Chief, it's great to see you in here too. Thank you for joining us. Danger Zone. Eddie, thank you for joining us. Bombshell. Brian's Ramblings. Walt's in the house there. SRB, thank you for that again. Let me see something down here. Bombshell, good to have you here. Under and over, it's always a pleasure. Miss Tandy, great to see you. Thank you to the Blue Crew for joining me tonight. Everybody knows I wouldn't, couldn't, or shouldn't ever try to do this, because if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be doing it, guys. And they are amazing. So thank you to all of them as well. Let me see here. Outcast, good to see you, brother. That's too bad you couldn't have joined us. Maybe after the fact, because I will be doing a show after. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow night or the day after the hearing to talk about that as well. Let me see here. I'm making sure I didn't miss anybody. JB Hogg, welcome. Good to see you. Lily Rose, such a pleasure to have you here tonight as well. Chief, again, great to see you. Yvonne Poole. Wakinyan Tonka. I can never say that right, so sorry about that. Wonderful to have you here as well. Hold on a minute here. I'm missing so many people, and I'm sorry. Steve W., welcome back. Great to see you again. Thank you for your input. LR, always a pleasure. Of course, Willie, thank you for joining us up on panel tonight. Always fun, my friend. Amor, thank you for joining us tonight as well. I appreciate your input and your insight. Tomboy, part of the Blue Crew, you already got yours. Sweet and Salty, thank you for your input and your time with us tonight as well. Anybody that I'm missing, my apologies. It was wonderful to have you all here. I really appreciate you all so very much for supporting the channel, for spending your time with us, for your input, your insight, your opinions, your thoughts, your theories. It's all very important to me and the rest of the channel and the rest of the community. You guys are all amazing. Don't forget to love yourselves and love each other. Don't change nothing. You guys are the beautiful people, and I will see you all in the morning. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again. Bye-bye, y'all.
Typing at the speed of light, hunting down the shadows, bringing wrongs to right, digging deep in the data, facts sharp as a knife. With every single story, he's fighting for a life. A voice for the voiceless, he won't stay quiet. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Rise, streaming loud and clear, cracking cases open, hearts filled with fear. These channels are beacon in a world gone wrong. He guides us through the chaos, a soldier so strong. The clicks and the lights, they follow his lead. With every new case, he plants a new seed, sharing their stories, giving hope where it fades. Daniel's a warrior through the trials he waits. In a world of silence, he shouts out their names. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. From the shadows you rise, streaming loud and clear. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth. Dago's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story he pulls at the